L-Y-I-N apostrophe. For several hours yesterday in her testimony before Congress, do you believe that Planned Parenthood deserves to be living the high life on your cash? 312-642-5600.
Yeah,
Turnkey.pro answer line 64636 is the Turnkey.pro text line.
They had some pretty elaborate parties. They even had Salt and Pepper. You know that group? They performed
Salt and Pepper's here.
Yeah, and we're in a fix. Want you to push it, babe. I mean, can you imagine?
I remember when you were a Spinderella protege.
But they opened with that song at a Planned Parenthood fundraiser. Want you to push it real good.
I don't get it. So Chaffetz, the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, he brought up issues of the lavish lifestyle that Planned Parenthood execs are leading on the taxpayers' dime, talking about the exorbitant travel expenses, including first-class flights, charter travel, and entertainment costs that included a $600,000 worth of blowout parties with celebrity guests. Now you know why those celebrities rally to the defense of Planned Parenthood.
Right.
Theme parties such as Gathering of Goddesses and Gods.
Oh, dear.
How
my
appropriate
God.
is that?
Wait, excuse me while I stroke my ego.
It's appropriate. That's descriptive. They believe they're their own gods and goddesses, so it's perfectly descriptive. Also, Planned Parenthood, $5 million of travel in 2013. That was part of it. And, of course, we found out that when we said Cecile Richards was making $500,000 as the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood, those are old numbers. It's closer to $600,000 now.
Oh, okay.
And look, worth every penny.
She was on the hot seat for 5 hours yesterday, and it's strange because I know the Republican angle on this, but I was watching the Democratic angle on this, and gosh, they really just don't think that they did anything wrong. And Cecile Richards played the victim role, I thought, in some of the parts, saying, this was heavily edited.
Yeah.
We don't even know if this footage was taken from a Planned Parenthood facility. I mean, she went on and on and on.
Yeah, let's address that heavily edited, because that was her default defense, and it's been the default defense of other apologists for Planned Parenthood and the illegal trafficking in baby body parts and the gruesome, ghoulish regime that is Planned Parenthood. Daily Signal reporting on a forensic analysis of the undercover videos that were taken with respect to Planned Parenthood by the Center for Medical Progress, a group called Coalfire, a digital security and forensics firm that has worked on civil and criminal investigation. The firm was given access to all audio and video investigative footage recorded by the Center for Medical Progress, and it found that the videos were authentic and show no evidence of manipulation or editing. The only thing that was edited, and this again, this is from the Alliance Defending Freedom, which commissioned this forensic analysis. Analysts scrutinized every second of video recorded during the investigation and released by Center for Medical Progress to date, and found only bathroom breaks and other non-pertinent footage had been removed. So this whole edited video defense is no defense whatsoever.
Well, here's the Lion Lady.
The outrageous accusations leveled against Planned Parenthood based on heavily doctored videos are offensive and categorically untrue.
So we heard her say that a number of times. That was her go-to statement. But then I watched ABC News last night with Jonathan Karl. They actually talked about it because there was, she went to the Hill to testify. And Jonathan Karl, he's the one that piqued my interest about this. Was this audio, did it match the video, or was the audio superimposed under the video for dramatic effects? Take a listen.
Planned Parenthood has accused Fiorina of lying about the video. The anti-abortion group video does include a scene like Fiorina described, although the audio is edited from a different event. And today, the group that made the video would not tell ABC News whether the fetus shown was actually from a Planned Parenthood facility.
Yeah, so again...
But that's the mainstream media. I mean, consider the source, but what's your response to that? Because I just...
My response is the response I just gave, which is that you had a forensic analysis of all the videos, and this is what this organization, Coalfire, concluded. So, okay. I mean, the response more generally is, I see, so in the event, let's say that Planned Parenthood is right, in the event that some actual events were edited out, some pertinent comments were edited out, we're supposed to discard. This is what they're saying. We're supposed to discard everything that we saw and heard. Planned Parenthood senior executives, in their own words, like, for example, Remember this one, Dr. Mary Gatter? They are not in the business of profiting by trafficking in baby body parts. And here's Dr. Mary Gatter on the video, in her own words, the woman who wants to drive a Lamborghini, haggling for price. Listen.
What would you expect for intact tissue? What sort of compensation? What sort of...
Well, why don't you start by telling me what you're used to paying?
Why don't you start by telling me what you're used to paying? If it is strictly a matter of reimbursement, then you would have a set reimbursement schedule. You wouldn't be talking kind of open-endedly about what are you used to paying, trying to maximize what you get. So all of this edited video, edited audio stuff is so much a misdirection play from the substance of what we know to be true, not because pro-lifers said it, but because senior executives at Planned Parenthood, starting with Cecile the Lion, said it. That's why we know.
And I agree with you. I mean, there's no doubt. I saw all of these videos. I watched them. If I hadn't been teamed up with you, I don't know if I would have watched them all in its entirety, but I did. And I believe that they are selling human body parts. I mean, there's no way around it. But the spin that Planned Parenthood is putting on it is disgusting. And Cecile Richards, she should be ashamed of herself, but she's trying to save the federal funding of, $528 million. That's big money for them so they can have their salt and pepper concerts. And
that's right. And
she's trying to, make it all about the women. No, we do, yesterday I heard her say, we give cancer screenings. We help women who have STDs, and we help with birth control. 1% of our business, Dan, just 1% is in the abortion business.
Well, they say it's 3%, but as Representative Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming pointed out, it's interesting. 3% of your business represents 86% of your revenue. So how important? Let's just say it's 3% for fun. How important is that 3% to your business? And let's not forget that it's a business. You could, refer to the nonprofit status all you want. One other thing that was interesting, too, and this is where you have no arguments, and so this is what the Democrats are left to do. So Chaffetz, again, Congressman Chaffetz from Utah, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, made the point of inquiring about Cecile Richards' salary. And the response from Carolyn Maloney, who's a Democrat from New York, is it was inappropriate and discriminatory to ask about her salary. We're giving the federal government our money, $500 million a year to Planned Parenthood, 40% of their budget, and we don't have a right to know about Cecile Richards' compensation because she's a woman. This is what I find so interesting about the left. Are women, strong and independent, and they can take whatever questions, and they don't deserve any special treatment, and they treat them just like you would a man? Or are they to be protected by, like Carolyn Maloney, because you ask a question about compensation? When you have oil execs or other people from other industries, not the abortion industry, and that's what it is, but other industries, do we routinely hear about their compensation? And they're in the private sector not receiving, in many cases, not receiving government money. Sometimes they are receiving government money or in the form of tax breaks. But the point is that their compensation is a widely discussed topic and seen as a legitimate topic.
Well, I loved when Loomis asked, can you function without federal dollars? I mean, could they make it without? And I'd love to play that answer.
Let me ask you this. Could you function on non-federal dollars? Why do you need federal dollars? You're making a ton of dough.
We don't make any profit off of federal money. And if I could just have a moment to explain.
You're using federal
$1.6 million
and displacing money that could go to the 13,000 healthcare clinics. My time's up. I yield back.
Yeah, that's the point. It's money is fungible. They have this $500 million from the federal government, so they don't have to otherwise allocate resources for what they do with that $500 million, like these parties and trips and whatnot, the $500 million they get from the federal government. So, to pretend like there's these demarcated funds and so one has nothing to do with the other, which is what Cecile Richards attempted to do yesterday, is a bit silly. But here's the bigger question, especially after hearing from Richards. Should we force President Obama to shut down the government over Planned Parenthood funding? Should Republicans go to the mat and say, President Obama, you want to shut down the government over $500 million to Planned Parenthood? You go right ahead and do it. And here's something else I would suggest Republicans do. We're not going to fund Planned Parenthood, and we're also not going to fund the Export-Import Bank. We're not going to fund crony capitalism either. We're done with this. We're going to start cleaning up the federal government, getting out of businesses it has no business being in. That would be an interesting moment and an important national debate. I doubt it'll happen, but it should.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, today it's going to be very sunny and breezy, a crisp fall day, a high of 62 degrees. Tonight it'll be clear, lows in the 50s. Actually, it'll be 50 degrees, 49 in the outlying suburbs. And for Thursday, it'll be breezy with plenty of brilliant sunshine, a high of 61 degrees. Let's get the travel times and say good morning to our good friend, Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Dan. On this final day of September, we have some delays on the inbound Eisenhower. It's a little slow from Racine into downtown Chicago. There was overnight construction. It is now cleared entirely, so this delay should dissipate fairly quickly, and it's only a 1 or 2 minute delay. This after the overnight work, which had access to eastbound Congress and the outbound Kennedy blocked off, but that access is now there. Inbound ride, just a little heavy approaching downtown. Little road work outbound, starting around 47th. No delay, though. Tollways look good. Northwest Indiana, fine. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to call David Hochberg, Vice President of Pearl Mortgage. Tammy, a 2-term Afghanistan war vet, 2 sons, credit score 498, called to secure a VA loan. Tammy had no shot at purchasing a home at this time, so David introduced Tammy to his bankruptcy team at Debt Stoppers, who are helping her eliminate collections totaling $16,000. Then he introduced her to Margie at First Midwest Bank, who's helping her rebuild her credit with a CD loan. David will follow up with Tammy every 4 months over the next 2 years to ensure she's following his credit enhancement plan so he can help her secure a VA loan. If you've gone through economic challenges like Tammy and want to be put on the program so you can purchase or refinance in the future, call David now at 312-751-1333. That number, 312-751-1333. You can email him at david@perldavid.com or visit his website, am560david.com. That's am560david.com. David's helped thousands of AM560 listeners, and he'll help you. So call David now at 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com/licensing.
Trust is the single most important factor in hiring a contractor. Dependable Construction and its founder, Joe Barron, built their business over 3 decades by being trustworthy. Tuck pointing, brick, and roofing is Joe's specialty. Joe started as a laborer and progressed to an expert tuck pointer and bricklayer. In addition to masonry and roofing, Joe and Dependable Construction have grown to become a full-service Angie's List and Better Business Bureau award-winning contractor. For brick, masonry, and roofing on residential, commercial, or industrial projects to any other type of remodeling or construction, you'll deal directly with owner Joe Barron. Call Joe Barron at Dependable Construction, an AM560 Feed the Children business benefactor. Mention AM560 and receive a 10% discount on most jobs. Call 773-244-1091. That's 773-244-1091. Or visit tuckpointchicago.net. 773-244-1091.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. Glad you're here with us today. HealthQuest Radio is Chicagoland's longest-running health news and science program. I've been an integrated healthcare practitioner for over 33 years now. And if you've been wondering what it's like to be a patient in our HealthQuest offices, well, take a look at our website. Go to healthquestradio.com under Testimonials and Tales of Wonder, right on the homepage, where you'll find many encouraging stories of success straight from our patient's mouth. Would you like to be done with those migraine headaches, get your insulin under control, feel more energetic, maybe having better sex, get that libido in gear again, discover why you eat for every emotion, and then get it under control? On medication and want to be off of it? Whatever health challenges you the most, you can schedule your new patient consult with me just by calling our HealthQuest Radio hotline at 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
AM 560, The Answer.
Should the Republicans say to President Obama, if you want to shut down the federal government, shut down, quote unquote, if you want to shut down the federal government over funding Planned Parenthood and funding the XM Bank, you go right ahead. Let's have a national debate. I think so. 312-642-5600 is the Turnkey.pro answer line. At 6:36, we're going to have Abby Johnson, who is a former Planned Parenthood clinic director, now a pro-life leader. So we'll discuss this in more detail. But
she worked in the Houston, right? Or the San Antonio office?
Yeah, Houston.
Okay.
If you want a quick and easy guide to getting kind of a quick drill down of the videos that have been released to date and some context to what Cecile Richards testified to yesterday, I'd refer you to Molly Hemingway's very good summary piece in The Federalist, thefederalist.com. But yesterday we had some very interesting exchanges, got a lot of information on the record between Cecile Richards, the president of Planned Parenthood, and members of Congress, including Mia Love. Mia Love, kind of a conservative cause celeb, African-American woman from Utah, ran and lost the first time, ran and won the second time. She got Richards on the record about mammograms.
First of all, Ms. Richards, in the annual report, Planned Parenthood's annual report, says that you are providing over 489,000 breast cancer screenings, and you've stated that none of your clinics actually have the mammogram machines. How many of your affiliates have those mammogram machines?
Well, our health centers are part of our affiliates. We have more than 650 health centers. So affiliate is simply the corporate structure for those health centers.
And how many of them have mammogram machines?
The affiliate isn't a health center.
Okay,
I think I spoke earlier, we do not have mammogram machines at our health centers, and we've never stated that we did.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the typical kind of a disingenuous Clintonian parsing of words. They talk about the mammography procedures they perform. 0 of their clinics have mammography machines. They allegedly contract out to radiological centers. And as many members of Congress pointed out, well, why do we need you?
That's even my gynecologist. Like, we don't even need Planned Parenthood anymore.
There are 13,000 federal clinics that don't perform abortions but perform all the cancer screenings and mammography.
All you need.
So
well, I got a mammogram at a Planned Parenthood in Texas when I lived there, but it was a mammogram mobile that pulled up next to Planned Parenthood, gave free screenings, and then 2 days later it drove away.
So it's not Planned Parenthood.
So it's not Planned Parenthood, no.
And then Mia Love asked the follow-up question about, we talked about before, Planned Parenthood says only 3% of their business is abortions. It interestingly accounts for 86% of their revenue. So, but Mia Love wanted to get the specifics from the president of Planned Parenthood about how much money is taken in from abortion services. Very difficult to get a specific from Cecile Richards.
How much do, well, you don't get anything from mammograms either. How much is made from abortions? What's the revenue that comes in from abortions?
Let me just, you're going to have to bear with me a minute so I can be responsive. I know you only have a little bit of time.
So if you could just respond as quickly as possible.
Okay. There are 59 affiliates. Each of them are completely different, right? They all run their own operation. And I can't tell you, I think this question was raised earlier, I can't tell you.
You can't tell me how much you actually make from abortions. You can't give that number.
Wow.
I mean, it's
that is just...
It's ridiculous.
Well, it's embarrassing.
It was one question after the other where she's got to confer with her team. She doesn't have those numbers at her fingertips. I mean, it's really silly because she doesn't want to disclose. She wants to go back to, kind of the 4 corners of the talking points that she rinsed and repeated over and over again during her testimony.
But she did say, by law, no federal money can go toward abortions.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So all of the money that they get from the federal government, our tax dollars, none of it goes to fund abortions or pay for abortions.
And if you believe that.
Yeah.
Quickly, I want to get to Jim Jordan, Congressman from Ohio, who had perhaps the most heated exchange with Cecile Richards about her apology. Remember her apology after the first video was released?
Oh, that's right.
Statements made as well as the tone of those statements. Well, Jim Jordan wanted to understand, what statements are you apologizing for? Couldn't get an answer.
I think the American people like to know which statements in the video were you apologizing for? Were you apologizing for statements that were untrue? Because you normally don't do that in life. If something's untrue and false, you don't apologize for that. You correct the record. But that's not what you said. You said, I personally apologize for the tone and statements, and I'm asking you a simple question. There was only one video at the time you you issued this statement, when you did your video, there was only one video. I want to know, in that video that you were referencing, which statements were you apologizing for?
Well, Congressman, at the time, as you, I'm sure, remember, that video was released. We'd had no time to actually evaluate how much editing had happened. It was days later that we were able...
Which true statements in that video were you apologizing for, Ms. Richards?
I was reflecting that on that video, not any particular statement, that given... They did not reflect the compassionate care that we provide at Planned Parenthood.
That raises an important question. So is what you said in your video untrue? You weren't really apologizing for statements made?
I was apologizing for what was said in a non-clinical setting, in a non-appropriate way, and I don't believe...
You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I'm apologizing for statements in one video, and then not tell us what those statements were.
I don't believe that Dr. Nucatola...
Or you can do this. You can say, you know what I said in the video I produced wasn't true. I really wasn't apologizing for any statement. You can tell us that here on the record if you'd like, but it can't be both positions. It has to be one. And I want to know which one is it. And frankly, the American people want to know which one is it.
In my judgment, it was inappropriate to have that conversation in a non-clinical setting.
This is why she's known as Cecile the Lion.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The sounds of an accident. You or a loved one has been injured. Your mind is racing. What happened? Is everyone okay? What now?
I'm Dan Compton of Compton Law Group. We know that at a time like this, you want answers. More importantly, you want justice for what has taken place. If you or a loved one has been injured, please, before you sign something or talk to anyone, call Compton Law Group. This is our specialty, fighting for your rights, fighting for you, and making sure that justice is served. You can reach me at 847-742-6100. That's 847-742-6100. It's my job to make sure that you, your family, and your loved ones are protected and compensated properly. We handle nursing home accidents, car, truck, and motorcycle accidents, construction accidents, and medical malpractice.
When accidents happen, and they will happen, make sure you have Compton Law Group on your side. 847-742-6100 or online at ComptonLawGroup.net. When accidents happen, take the appropriate action with Compton Law Group, located in Elgin and serving all of Chicagoland.
This is Amy Jacobson, and I want to thank all the AM 560 listeners who have purchased thousands of MyPillows over the last 18 months and are enjoying your best sleep ever. But that still leaves thousands of you who haven't taken advantage of the buy one, get one free offer. What are you waiting for? It's so important to get a great night's sleep. I can't live without mine. I even take it on vacations. It's American made, and when it gets dirty, just throw it in the washer and dryer. No need to take it to an expensive dry cleaner. So don't wait any longer. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies, and more. Plus, MyPillow is washable and keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it was named the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For the MyPillow buy one, get one free offer, visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Please use the promo code Amy. Do it now, 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, yeah. That's what Planned Parenthood employees dance to. I'm not kidding you. At one of their elaborate events that they had, Salt and Pepper came.
I'll tell you what, that video would be more horrific than the Center for Medical Progress videos.
Coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer, the first female Georgia inmate to be put to death in 70 years. Did it really have to happen? We'll explain.
And D. Rose with an orbital fracture from a teammate or a girlfriend at 5:45.
Lawyer.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning again to Mike Scott.
55 degrees, partly cloudy skies, winds out of the north at 13.
Did he ever marry?
Russia's parliament is giving President Vladimir Putin approval to deploy the country's military forces abroad. A top Kremlin aide says the move came after Syrian President Bashar al-Assad asked Russia for military help. Media reports indicate that use of force will apply only to air forces, not ground troops in Syria. Senator John Barrasso says while Russia expands, the U.S. is pulling back.
We see Putin being very aggressive and expansive. We see the president heading the other way. The president is in retreat, is being very passive. So we see all around the world the problems that the president's inaction in many ways has created.
Meantime, a potential major shift in U.S. policy as military leaders now want to keep thousands of U.S. troops in Afghanistan beyond 2016 because of the Taliban's assault on the northern city of Kunduz. More than 250 Americans who've traveled overseas in the past few years in hopes of joining terror groups have been able to sneak back into the United States. At least several dozen of them have, according to a new congressional study, which offers no details on who has actually made it back in. American spies in China are reportedly being ordered home amid fears their identities have been hacked. The order comes after the personnel data of over 21 million government workers was compromised. Pleas from her 3 children could not stop Wednesday's execution of the only woman on Georgia's death row.
The court-ordered execution of Kelly Renee Gissendaner was carried out in accordance with state law. She made a final statement and she requested a final prayer.
Gissendaner was given a lethal injection shortly after midnight. The head of Planned Parenthood says allegations based on recorded videos made by pro-life groups are offensive and untrue.
The question before us is, does this organization, does Planned Parenthood really need federal subsidy? Does it need federal dollars?
Republicans on the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Tropical storm Joaquin getting stronger could soon become a hurricane near the Bahamas. A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead after Chicago police say he shot himself. Leo Amin of Crystal Lake was found with a gunshot wound to his head yesterday at a downtown rooftop bar. Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner is set to close state museums and a sport shooting complex to the public over the budget crisis, even though most of that staff will still report to work. The Illinois State Museum and the World Shooting and Recreation Complex in Sparta are to close today because of the budget standoff. Cubs over Cincinnati, 4-1. White Sox over KC, 4-2. Bulls guard Derrick Rose will have surgery near his left eye after being elbowed in the face. The news, a service of TrueCar. Save time, save money by downloading TrueCar's mobile app. Configure the new car you want, then see what others paid for it and lock in the guaranteed savings from TrueCar. Certified dealers in your area. Most users save over $3,000 off MSRP. Save time, money, never overpay. Download the TrueCar app today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity explains how Trump has earned the right to be the front runner.
Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, has earned his status, his front runner status, fair and square. He didn't steal it. He hasn't lied. If anything, he's been refreshingly honest. Now, Trump may not be a conservative the way I'm a conservative, but certainly his supporters are.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
If the battery pack in your hybrid fails, that can be a huge unexpected expense. Dan Proft here for Midwest Performance Cars. In addition to complete maintenance and repair of European automobiles, Midwest Performance Cars is a certified hybrid shop location. Their technicians have undergone extensive training and can test and recondition your Toyota or Honda hybrid battery pack at a price hundreds less than your dealer. MPC can also perform a comprehensive pre-purchase inspection on hybrid vehicles and provide an accurate assessment of the health of your hybrid battery pack. The longevity of battery packs is a known drawback of a hybrid vehicle. Midwest Performance Cars offers an exclusive technology that can restore your battery to over 95% of its original performance. Take your hybrid to the dealership with a check engine light and they'll probably tell you that you need a new battery, costing you $3,000 to $5,000. With MPC's battery conditioning technology, you could potentially save up to 50%, keeping thousands of dollars in your pocket. They're located in Chicago's West Loop at the corner of Lake and Ogden. Free Lyft and Uber shuttle service available. Online at MidwestPerformanceCars.com. Midwest Performance Cars, the dealer alternative, an expert source for European auto maintenance and repair.
In our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, here is Jim Telemonti.
Thanks, Mike. In New Lenox, there's a water main break. It has 30 down to one lane in each direction at Vine Street. The inbound Stevenson has slow traffic. Pulaski to Kedzie. The ramp to the inbound Ryan is heavy. It's about a 2-minute delay on the inbound Stevenson. The inbound Ryan has a 5-minute delay coming into downtown. I-57, about a 1-minute delay approaching the merge. Bishop Ford, a 5-minute delay starting at 115th. Traffic service of Nordstrom Rack. Don't miss the Clear the Rack event, Nordstrom Rack, from October 1st through 4th. Take an extra 25% off all red tag clearance. Get the brands you love and styles you seek in stores and at NordstromRack.com. Markdown included in online pricing or taken at the register. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and breezy. 62 today, 53 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so
yeah.
Yesterday we had an execution in Georgia.
I know. I was going to tell you all about it because I'm very upset. I'm
So
normally
tell me all about it.
Well, I'm pro capital punishment. I always have been. I believe an eye for an eye. I believe revenge is a dish best served cold. But in this
Do you
case,
believe in other cliches?
no, I don't. Yes, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah.
But when this is a story of 47-year-old Kelly Gitzendanger. Back in 1997, she was having an affair on her husband, and they plotted to get rid of the husband because they wanted some life insurance, her husband Douglas at the time, by having him beaten and stabbed. So 18 years ago, her husband was murdered. She was not there during the time of his murder. Her lover committed the crime. Her lover stabbed her husband. Her lover beat him to death. She was at the mall, believe it or not, with her kids when this happened.
Only guilty man in Shawshank.
So what he did was he pled out, and in return or in exchange, the prosecution said, all right, life in prison, no death for you. But she was sentenced to death. And she was put down last night. I say that sounds awful, like you're putting down an animal, but that's what they did. She died at 12:21 a.m. Eastern time. And it was really emotional. People that witnessed it, here's one witness you'll hear from who said she was crying, she was praying, and she was just realized that her death was coming.
She apologized for what she did. She said she was sorry that that amazing man lost his life because of her. And once after the execution started, she began singing Amazing Grace and sang it all the way through. And she appeared to be, her lips were moving as the warden read the execution order. I couldn't tell if she was praying or what she was doing at that time.
I'll get it.
Old school telephone. Who brought
Yeah.
that there? No,
Nice
but
prop.
she, the reason why so many people were upset, including, the warden and other guards, because she was a model prisoner. She graduated recently from theology school that they have there in the prison. And the mother of three, and the children had to choose between watching their mother's execution or trying to get a judge to stay the execution. Here's her daughter, Kayla.
See y'all here is so incredible. There are tons of you. We just want to thank y'all so much. We were not able to see our mom today because the boards of pardons and paroles made us make a choice to either come try and save her life today or go see her. So we chose to try and save her life, and they still denied us today. So we want y'all to know that we are still fighting. Do not lose your faith. This is not over. There's a reason that we didn't get to see her today, and hopefully that's because we're going to see her again this weekend.
I saw Garrett Gilmore. I saw the Executioner song. I read Norman Mailer's book. So I get the story of the prisoner who, the murderer who kind of turns their life around in some spiritual sense while in prison. I'm an opponent of the death penalty.
Yeah, that's why I'm so surprised by your reaction.
What's my reaction?
That you're not surprised. I mean, she physically did not partake in the murder, and you were against the death penalty, against capital punishment, but it's okay that she was put down?
No. First of all, the onus is on you because you're a proponent of capital punishment. I'm categorically an opponent of capital punishment. So here's the question. The question is, well, she's guilty of felony murder. I mean, you're conspiring to murder someone, and you have your boyfriend to carry out the act of stabbing your husband to death, and you blithely, create an alibi for yourself by being at the mall at the time of the murder. That does not obviate the crime because you didn't physically commit it. Certainly not in the eyes of the law, and certainly not morally, more importantly. So the question for a death penalty proponent like yourself, well, why the exception here? How do you draw the line that Kelly Gissendaner doesn't have her life taken away by the death penalty after committing a death penalty eligible crime, but others do?
Well, there's three reasons why. One, because Gregory Owen, the man who physically committed the crime, he got a life sentence. That's the number one reason. The number two reason, she did turn her life around. She has three children who they go to see their mother every other weekend.
I thought you said that justice was about revenge in your view.
And the third reason is the judge who really originally sentenced her came out this week and said, I was too harsh. I wish I could do it all over again. I should have just given her life in prison instead of the death penalty.
Is there any question that the offense was death penalty eligible?
Pardon?
Is there any question
eligible.
It's death penalty eligible? Right. So why should, again, in this regime, not a regime I support, but this is the legal regime, why should her life be spared where someone else who commits a planned, premeditated murder is executed? I don't understand the distinction. Because you like her more because of what she did after the crime she committed? What we're doing is adjudicating justice based on her crime. Aren't we?
Right. But
I understand there's a rehabilitative component of justice, too. That's not usually something I hear from death penalty proponents like yourself, who just said revenge is a dish best served cold, an eye for an eye. It doesn't sound like rehabilitation to me. And there's no rehabilitation for her because the alternative would have been life in prison. There's rehabilitation for her as a person spiritually in prison. Certainly, that's something I believe in. But it's not something that apparently is persuasive to death penalty proponents. So again, I just don't understand how you draw these lines. It seems to me very ad hoc, where she lives and somebody else who commits a similar crime dies, and we don't have any problem with that. This is the hypocrisy of the death penalty system, and one of the reasons I'm opposed to it.
Okay, I get that, but I just, in looking at her case, I think she received bad counsel because she should have pled out like her ex-lover did, and then she would have been spared the death penalty. But she didn't because she thought she would get off, and her attorney thought she'd get off.
She made a number of mistakes, it turns out.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
And Dan, her last meal, cheese dip with chips, Texas fajita nachos, and a diet frosted lemonade.
Went out with a bang.
Here's your forecast today. Mostly sunny, breezy, a high of 62 degrees. Tonight, a low of 50 degrees. And for your Thursday, it will be breezy with plenty of sunshine. A high again in the low 60s. Let's get the travel times and say hello to Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy and Dan at Wooddale. Signals are flashing red on Thorndale at Wooddale Road. If they're not fixed soon, you'll have some traffic jams in that area. The Edens is fine, the Kennedy as well. Inbound Eisenhower. A little slow, Manheim to first, 31 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Southheim still fine at 29. The Stevenson has a 2-minute delay, Cicero to Kedzie. The Ryan, a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes. I-80 to the merge. It's a 1-minute delay. Bishop Ford 20, with delays starting at 115th. Tollways are good. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Hey, if you need to sell your home in Chicagoland, Sean Hannity here with some very important facts that you need to know. 40% of homes hitting the market in Chicago are not selling. Now, those are horrible odds. That's exactly why you need to call Saul Z and the Z team at Keller Williams, based right here in Chicagoland. Saul sells a home on average every 24 hours and attracts hundreds of buyers every month locally, nationally, and internationally. Recently, the Wall Street Journal ranked Saul's team in the top 110 teams out of 1.2 million agents in the U.S. Saul Z guarantees to sell your home in 29 days at a price and deadline that you agreed to, or he will buy your home or he'll sell it for free. Plus, working with Saul is also risk-free. After 24 hours, if he's not doing his job, you can walk away free and clear. Don't worry, you won't. Just call the agent I would call if I needed to sell my home and lived in Chicagoland. Call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666, or go online at callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net.
No one ever imagines facing Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia and needing full-time care, but it happens. And deciding on the right residential care for mom or dad can be a monumental task. There is a memory care community that focuses on helping your parent or loved one with dementia light up and live life to the fullest, making them feel like family. Autumn Leaves Memory Care communities see past the diagnosis to the person you know, that your dad was a fantastic cook or that your mom loved to dance. advance. A person who deserves so much more than being just an Alzheimer's patient. Whether it's through yoga and music therapy or simply by cooking them their favorite meal, Autumn Leaves strives to stimulate their minds and bodies to respect and nurture the person you care so much about. See for yourself the difference Autumn Leaves communities can mean for your family. Autumn Leaves, dedicated solely to the unique needs of memory care patients.
Autumn Leaves has 10 locations in the Chicagoland area offering day-stay respite and assisted living programs. Call 888-662-8886 or visit autumnleaves.com.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-700-5105. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-700-5105. That's 1-800-700-5105. 1-800-700-5105.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
From Simeon, before we talk about the death of Derrick Rose's career, we were talking about the execution of this woman, Kelly Gissendaner, in Georgia last night. And John from Glen Ellen has an opinion. John? Hey, John.
You're going to hear a lot of people say, well, the Catholic Church says no pro-death or whatever. But a lot of saints have put forth the opinion that if someone's going to get the death penalty and they know the exact date and time, it sort of clarifies their mind and gives them a chance to repent. Whereas if you're going to spend 50 years in jail and all of a sudden die, you might never repent, so you lose your soul.
Yes, yeah, that's a tough way to incentivize repentance, John. I'm not so sure I buy that argument. Thanks for the call, though.
Yeah, but this is the third time that they've tried to put her down, so to speak. I mean, last February they had the execution scheduled, but bad weather affected roadways. And then again in March, they were going to, put her down with a lethal injection, but they noticed that the lethal injection tube was cloudy, so they thought it was tampered with. So this is her third final meal that she had, thinking she was going to be executed.
I mean, it's all interesting. I don't know how that relates to the underlying issue, but okay. So moving on to Derrick Rose, who is undergoing surgery for an orbital bone fracture. Now, this was at the hands of a paramour, or did this occur in practice?
Well, apparently, they came out yesterday, breaking news during the 6 o'clock news hour that, Derrick Rose has yet another injury, but they didn't say the player. So I don't know if that's come out, but he during practice, and I'm using quotations here in the air, he allegedly, a player came down on his left orbital bone when he was getting a rebound and cracked it, and he's going to have surgery this morning at Rush Medical Center.
First practice of the season. Bulls off to a great start. Derrick Rose continues to, be the bad luck, fragile. I don't know. Well, bad luck in terms of knee injuries, and now this happened at practice. Obviously, this wasn't in the bedroom. So this is what I would call bad luck. And if the orbital bone fracture is serious enough to require surgery, it's pretty serious.
Well, you put a little plate in there. I mean, he's injury prone. That knee surgery in February 2015, then the left ACL. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And now he's finally back, and he gets that injury. Sounds a little fishy because, of course, all the women were saying
this is fishy.
Well, because yesterday they responded to the lawsuit that was filed in Los Angeles by his ex-girlfriend. She allegedly said that they drugged her, Derrick Rose and his two buddies. They had dinner with her, drugged her, came back, broke into her home, and sexually assaulted her. Well, Derrick Rose's attorney responded to the lawsuit yesterday and said basically that it was consensual, that she agreed to group sex. But during the time of this alleged incident, Derrick Rose's girlfriend was back here in Chicago and pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
So that might have been a little sticky. Honey, I'm home. Oh, how was your day? Well, how was your day?
Yeah, I'm not sure that it's quite like the set of the Mary Tyler Moore show at the Rose household, but this is why maybe the breaking news should be about, I don't know, 2 bullets that knock out 3 generations of a particular family, and not about some, rather morally challenged professional athlete.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
On AM 560, The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Opportunity Project, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Be honest. Will owning a bigger TV help you get ahead in life? Will another pair of shoes make you a better person? Probably not. But what if you could speak another language? If acquiring a new language excites you more than acquiring more stuff, then wait until you hear this. As part of its biggest language learning event in history, Rosetta Stone is giving away demos of its powerful language learning software absolutely free. For your free demo, call 1-800-600-0571. And Rosetta Stone has made language learning more convenient than ever. Learn on your computer or iPad, then practice on the go with your smartphone or MP3 player without ever opening a book or memorizing boring vocabulary again. Do you want more stuff, or do you want a language that will last a lifetime? After all, it's all about priorities. To try a free demo of this powerful language learning software, call 1-800-600-0571. Again, get your free demo now. 1-800-600-0571. That's 1-800-600-0571.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. Yes, the 31-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. But I'm not here to talk about payroll today.
No, but I am. Hi, I'm Alice Bannock, chef and co-owner with my husband Terry of Rockin' Ribs in Lake Zurich. We're located on the southwest corner of routes 12 and 22, and Precision Payroll is fantastic. The people are great, the service is excellent, and for all they do for what I pay is amazing. Precision Payroll has a great recipe and delivers an outstanding service.
Thanks, Alice. And I'm here to tell the listeners what a great place you have. I love barbecue, and I love my new client, Rockin' Ribs. I've had the opportunity to try everything, and your recipes are unique and delicious. If you like barbecue and great music, you have to go to Rockin' Ribs in Lake Zurich and let them know you heard them on AM 560.
And for great payroll services, call Tom at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507.
Come join us.
It's easy to take your commercial HVAC system for granted. It's always there, keeping your building comfortably warm or cool. Until you have a system failure. With another unforgiving Chicago winter just around the corner, now's the time to have a comprehensive review of your mechanical HVAC system. And you don't want just anyone. You want Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For over 80 years, Air Comfort has delivered its customers the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as Star Certified by the MSCA, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900. That's 708-345-1900 or online at aircomfort.com.
Coming up next, a new label for Donald Trump, Fact Free. We'll explain.
And do the Teamsters actually want Trump? We'll have the answer as well as the answer of whether Amy Jacobson has received word back about her food stamp application.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom to a man who never has to apply for that. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching right now. A man sought for questioning in a Lake County killing was found dead. The mayor and the head of the Chicago police expressing outrage over gun violence. We'll get their reaction. And Drew Peterson's trial is pushed back to next year. Cubs cut down the Reds while the White Sox sank the Royals last night in a sunny and breezy day ahead with a high of 62. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Get out of Syria. A new demand from Russia to the U.S. as Moscow may be ready to send in ground troops. Fox News Radio's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, a senior U.S. official tells Fox News that Russia has demanded U.S. warplanes exit Syria immediately, saying the Kremlin's aircraft are now airborne over the country. But the U.S. will not comply, and a separate defense official says there is nothing to indicate Washington is changing operations in Syria. This as Russian lawmakers voted unanimously to let Russian President Vladimir Putin send troops to Syria. But the Kremlin maintains it will only use its air force there, not ground troops, Dave.
Jessica, the U.S. has carried out 2 more airstrikes trying to help Afghanistan's troops retake the city of Kunduz that Taliban fighters overran on Monday. Georgia killed a killer shortly after midnight, the only woman on death row there. Kelly Gissendaner cried and apologized, then sang Amazing Grace as the drugs were injected after last-minute appeals failed. Her daughter and 2 sons had all appealed for mercy, even though Gissendaner and her lover conspired to murder their father. But Kayla says she already lost one parent.
I don't know that I can lose another one. I don't know that I can handle that.
Even a letter from an archbishop on Pope Francis' behalf failed to spare Gissendaner. Speaking of the Pope, we're learning now of an interesting meeting he reportedly had while visiting the U.S. Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers has this live.
The lawyer for Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk who went to jail for defying a court order to issue same-sex marriage licenses on religious grounds, says she met briefly with Pope Francis. Her attorney says it happened last Thursday in Washington, but won't say who initiated the meeting or how it came to be, though he did say Vatican officials had asked about Davis' situation while she was in jail. As for the Vatican, a spokesman isn't denying the meeting happened, but says he has no comment on the topic. Dave.
Tanya, there are hurricane warnings up now in the Bahamas. Tropical storm Joaquin's getting near. It could target the U.S. East Coast this weekend. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Some clouds this morning. Winds out of the north at 12. It's 54 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead. Police say he shot himself in Chicago. Leo Amin of Crystal Lake was found with a gunshot wound to the head at a downtown Chicago rooftop bar. Authorities have been searching for him after the body of Dina Seymour was discovered earlier that morning in her Grays Lake home. Drew Peterson's murder for hire trial in southern Illinois has been postponed until next year. Former suburban police officer is charged with soliciting an inmate to kill Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow, who prosecuted the 2012 case in which Peterson was sentenced to 38 years in prison for the bathtub drowning death of his ex-wife, Kathleen Savio. Mayor Emanuel and the head of Chicago Police expressing outrage following a burst of gun violence this week in Chicago.
Way too many guns on the streets of the city of Chicago with too little values and the penalties that don't match the values of the city of Chicago.
Over a 15-hour period, 6 were found shot to death, including a pregnant mother and grandmother.
Until such time that they're held accountable, we could make 1 billion gun arrests a year, and it's not going to make a difference.
Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy also called for changes in the justice system. Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago. The Tribune says Rauner has offered the company tax incentives to move its headquarters from Omaha to the Merchandise Mart. Chicago public school officials say they've approved a $5.25 million deal for the sale of a former elementary school. School officials announcing late yesterday the former Trumbull Elementary will be sold to an asset management group, the price representing the highest dollar value the district has received from the 2013 closings. A U.S. Supreme Court decision overturning an Illinois law requiring non-union home health care workers to pay fair share union fees has prompted a federal lawsuit by daycare owners now seeking their own refund of millions of dollars in past payments. Cubs over Cincinnati 4-1. White Sox beat Kansas City 4-2. Bears have waived last year's pick, safety Brock Vereen. The news, a service of Nicola by LaCroix. Sprinkle the sparkle and delight in the fizz of new 100% sparkling water, LaCroix Nicola. Find all the flavors of traditional colas without sweetener, calories, or guilt. Clean, crisp, clear, and smart. Nicola by LaCroix, made for you, available at Mariano's. 6:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
We are raising a country of sissies.
The Joe Walsh Show.
It's scary because these kids are going to be adults one day. Every single day, we move away from freedom and individual responsibility. And every single day we do that, we move closer to a country full of only government dependency.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
True or false? Huntington Learning Center franchise owners earn revenues 61% higher than their closest competitor.
True!
True or false? You can start a Huntington franchise for under $100,000.
True!
True or false? Huntington is a respected national tutoring and test prep leader with almost 4 decades of proven results.
True!
It's true. Opening a Huntington Learning Center franchise is the perfect opportunity to run a business that's both personally and financially rewarding. No previous educational experience required. Our model is simple. We provide you with our winning formula for student success, in-house financing, and ongoing support. You help students from K through 12 achieve outstanding academic results. And in turn, you score phenomenal financial returns. If you're passionate about making a difference and dream of owning a successful business, call 855-823-0000 or visit huntingtonfranchise.com to join the nation's top earning tutoring and test prep franchise. That's 855-823-0000.
6:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Kennedy in the express lanes at Armitage. There's a disabled taxi on the right side. IDOT is there at the scene. The main lanes of the Kennedy look fine otherwise. We're not seeing significant delays yet. Outbound as well. The Edens is clear. Inbound Eisenhower, not so much. Slow. Manheim to First, about a 5-minute delay. Outbound still good. Inbound Stevenson has a 5-minute delay. Harlem to Kedzie. The inbound Ryan, a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson into downtown. I-57, 16 minutes. I-80 to the Murray, Bishop Ford, a 5-minute delay. 115th to the Ryan. Traffic service of UPSjobs.com. Seeking seasonal tractor-trailer drivers throughout Chicagoland, especially Northbrook, Palatine, Franklin Park, and Bedford Park. Seasonal drivers will receive competitive pay and must have a commercial driver's license. Apply now at upsjobs.com/radio. A great job, a great pay in one package. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Let's get the latest from our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly sunny and breezy, high 62. Clear tonight, low 50, then breezy tomorrow with a full day of sunshine, high of 61. Clear and breezy tomorrow night with a low of 49. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
53 at O'Hare, 55 along the lakefront. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs powered by Tandem HR. Heard Sunday evenings at 6.
Good morning. Welcome to your Wednesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Now to that showdown on Capitol Hill today. The head of Planned Parenthood facing questions for hours, grilled by lawmakers after those undercover videos recorded by anti-abortion activists of Planned Parenthood employees.
Do you profit or make money on abortion services?
What this is really all about, plain and simple, money and politics.
Now to the race for 2016, and tonight it is Bill Clinton versus Donald Trump. The former president is back amid his wife's slumping poll numbers. We started to hear from him this weekend, and tonight he's now coming out swinging, defending his wife and going further.
You shouldn't be able to insult your way to the White House.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, just kind of an aside. At the top, we play this ABC reporter talking about Cecile Richards' testimony on the Hill yesterday, referring to anti-abortion activists, pro-life. Pro-life. It's so funny to me, and I've made this point before, but I'll go ahead and make it again. It's so funny to me. We live in America Redefined, where the media will embrace you calling yourself something you're not, Caitlyn Jenner, but it will not give people the respect of calling them something they actually are. I just love the kind of point out the irony of the age, I suppose.
So there's no pro-abortionists, they're pro-choicers, and there's no anti-abortionists, they're pro-lifers. No, that's not what I said. I said people are pro-life. I'm pro-life. I'm not anti-abortion. So when it comes to Trump and Hillary, Trump is interesting. Is he actually getting the attention of the Teamsters? Maybe not in a good way in terms of policy-wise, but in potentially a politically good way, were he to actually be the nominee of the Republican Party and need, some of that blue-collar crossover vote. James Rosen had this special Fox News report yesterday on Bret Baier's show that says Teamsters have resisted endorsing Hillary because they got a couple candidates they want to talk to yet.
Tonight, however, Fox News has learned exclusively that the 26-member board decided unanimously to withhold a presidential endorsement at this time. Union sources said the move was driven by three motivations. First, as an intentional snub to Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton, who last week opposed construction of the Keystone Pipeline. Second, the Teamsters want to know if Vice President Biden will jump into the race. And then union executives told me they want to sit down with Republican candidates, most notably frontrunner Donald Trump, who has collaborated with unionized workforces across his real estate career.
Yeah, that's interesting, going back to his career as a real estate developer, so these relationships he has with the trade unions. And we say this in this state all the time, and in the Rust Belt, it's important. Republican candidate in key states like Ohio, boy, you need to appeal to trade unionists who are by kind of sensibility conservative, but bristle at Republicans that sometimes they believe to be antagonistic to collective bargaining rights and the like. It's very interesting. Scott Walker's been able to navigate it. John Kasich has been able to navigate it. Mitch Daniels, now Mike Pence in Indiana. You're going to need a Republican nominee who can navigate that territory as well and try and bring in operating engineers and carpenters and plumbers and Teamsters.
So don't you see this as a huge victory for Donald Trump?
Well, it's not a victory yet.
It sounds like it's leaning that way.
But the fact that he's in conversation now, the downside of that is, why do the Teamsters want to talk to him? The good news is because Hillary's opposed to the Keystone Pipeline, therefore, Trump is for it, all the Republicans are for it. The bad news is because the Teamsters tend to be a bit protectionist when it comes to trade policy, and Trump has indicated he is too when he said in his 60 Minutes interview, "I'm for fair trade, not free trade." That's a euphemism for protectionism. And that is not good economic policy, but it is potentially politically popular and brings more of, frankly, of white ethnic voters that are leaving the Democrat Party, have left the Democratic Party, but aren't necessarily always embracing the Republican Party, potentially brings them over in a general election. At what expense? I don't know. The blue-collar protectionist type mentality has a more active constituency than do kind of, the lofty, idealistic free trade academic types. So it's just kind of an interesting turn. I mean, this also plays into incentivizing Joe Biden into the race that much more.
Well, I think yesterday Donald Trump, he got a big endorsement by having Bill Clinton personally attack him. Bill Clinton, of course, now making the media rounds to try and salvage his wife's campaign, because they help each other out. They're a real team there. And Bill Clinton reminding Donald Trump, watch what you say.
You shouldn't be able to insult your way to the White House.
And he took offense that Donald Trump called Hillary Clinton the worst Secretary of State in our history.
Easily. She's the worst Secretary of State in the history of our country.
And
yeah.
Well,
of course he took offense. So what? Who cares? Oh, Bill Clinton's sensibility is hurt. His feelings are hurt. Give me a break. You shouldn't insult your way to the White House. That's exactly what he did. He insulted everybody's intelligence and everybody's sense of dignity for the office on the way to the White House.
Isn't that what all politicians do?
Insult their way to the White House?
Yeah. Well, they challenge their competitors. They're not nice to them. This is a competition. This is a game.
All of this stuff, every cycle we get this, the dirty campaigning and, the coarse words or the name calling. Just grow up. I mean, yes, it's a bunch of white noise. Be an adult and sift through it. There's going to be some choice words. There's going to be some name calling. Now, I don't think you need to raise it to an art form the way that Trump has. I don't think that's the only thing you can offer and get to the White House. But good grief, everybody, how dare you say she was the worst Secretary of State in history? The record reflects that you can make a very strong case that what Donald Trump said about Hillary and what other people have said is accurate.
Well, this morning, the Hillary campaign is calling what Donald Trump said last week. September 23rd he was in Charleston, South Carolina, speaking to a half-empty room, by the way. Remember when he called her shrill? Remember when he said this?
And Hillary, who's become very shrill. You know the word shrill? She's become shrill.
Well, this morning, Hillary, they're fighting back. They're saying that comment was sexist.
Oh, good grief.
And that is the woman who asked for a raise, and she might deserve it. Is she shrill? That is what they're proposing this morning. No,
Wait, first of all,
ready? Is the woman who asked for the raise and deserves it, is she shrill?
What? I don't even know what that means.
I don't either, but that's the statement that they released.
And it took them a week to come up with that statement?
A week.
Have you heard Hillary's cackle? Shrill is generous. I mean, come on. He's Donald Trump is sexist. This is all they have. They got to trot out Bill to rally to the defense of the little lady. Isn't it? Yeah. Isn't it a little bit of that? Oh, the little is it a strong woman or is it the little lady that needs protection from her husband? Now she needs protection from Donald Trump because he called her shrill. She is shrill. That's the least of her offenses.
But that's not sexist. And this is coming from somebody who dabbles in feminism and rights for women. That's not what he said was just a comment that she's shrill.
By the way, while Bill and Hillary are weeping over Donald Trump's every word, this interesting piece in Forbes. Where'd the money go?
Uh-oh.
The mystery of Hillary's missing millions. Since Bill and Hillary left the White House in 2001, they've earned more than $230 million.
Wait, and that's when she said that they could barely pay their mortgages?
That was, that was before that was like on the way out the door.
Oh,
Their mortgages, yeah. Yes. I mean, it was very, very sad, the state they were in. But they've earned more than $230 million since 2001. But in federal filings, because, you have to disclose all your assets and the sort with the Federal Election Commission as a candidate for federal office. In federal filings, the Clintons claim they are worth somewhere between $11 million and $53 million. After layering years of disclosures on top of annual tax returns, Forbes estimates their combined net worth at $45 million. So where did all the money go? No one seems to know, and the Clintons aren't offering any answers. This Forbes piece drills down and essentially says, it drills down in terms of the taxes they've paid, the cost of her presidential run in 2008, which was $13 million, the cost of their homes, the money they've given away to charity, just drills it all down and finds $50 million unaccounted for.
It's as if they're getting a divorce and they're hiding the cash from one another,
right,
before they file the paperwork.
Yeah, Bill Clinton's fund money. That's the $50 million. It's petty cash. Joe Biden's accountant said, that's kind of strange. You have to report all your assets. You have to report assets that are owned by your spouse.
Oh.
So $50 million over 14 years averages about to about $3.5 million in extra expenses per year, which could be, that could be about what Bill would spend on.
On what?
Excursions.
You mean excursions
Vacations.
With other ladies?
Yeah, group sex with Derrick Rose.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Yeah. Another certified financial planner said, I don't see how it would be possible to distribute this money. It's quite a mystery you have on your hands, said this Jeff Musad, who's a certified financial planner, in reviewing the Clintons' financial disclosures with Forbes.
Wow.
50 winning. Yeah.
Well, I was in Arkansas, less than a year ago, and I, asked them, do you guys ever see, we went to a diamond mine, my son and I. There's one outside of Little Rock. And when we were there, I said, do you guys ever see Bill Clinton? They said, we don't know where he lives. And I said, well, where does he live? And they said, in the penthouse of the Clinton Library, and he's got a girlfriend. She's got blonde hair, and everyone knows. I'm like, okay.
Well, that can't be cheap.
No, maybe that's where some of the money went.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
$3.6 million a year for your various concubines. That sounds plausible. I could buy that.
But do you think Bill Clinton's going to save Hillary's campaign? I mean, he's got events scheduled in Atlanta, then in Missouri, then he's heading to Michigan, and he did that interview last night with CNN.
Yeah,
saying Donald Trump, he can't insult his way to the White House, and he made other comments.
And Hillary, who's become
excuse me,
The day after you take the oath of office,
it's yours.
You can't level an insult or you're not in an episode of Survivor. You're actually supposed to show up and run the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't heard any insults from the current resident of the White House over the last 6 years, have we? I mean, give me a break. I'll tell you what, it's very interesting, but in terms of your question, whether Bill can save Hillary, at this level, the decisions are based on the principle. You can't get around the candidate. This is going to be a referendum on Hillary Clinton and maybe Joe Biden. Bill, no relation, in Palatine.
How are you?
Good.
I guess you can't insult your way to the White House, but you can insult an intern in the White House.
Yes, exactly. Thanks for the call, Bill.
Speaking of Monica Lewinsky, she's breaking her silence again. She'll be on Good Morning America for an interview, and they said, stay tuned, see what she has to say and why she's coming forward.
Still having difficulty finding a fella, I understand. I wonder why.
Dad.
Well, isn't it? Isn't that true?
Yeah, I mean, she was a sex abuse victim.
Well, you said it. Greg and Schaumburg.
The one thing that I wonder is if the Energizer Bunny is going to have an exclusive pass to the White House if Hillary gets elected.
The energy. Yes, right. Thanks for the call, Greg. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if he's got that penthouse at the library, why'd you want to spend all the time in D.C.?
Nobody told me that the road would be easy.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, defrauding Snap. Now, who would do that?
Cautionary tale for Amy Jacobson.
But today, here's your forecast. It'll be mostly sunny today, breezy, crisp fall day, 62 degrees out there. Tonight, clear, a low of 50. And Thursday looks pretty good, breezy with plenty of sunshine, a high of 61. Let's get the travel times and say hello again to Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Amy and Dan. The Adams Tollway has been no easy road lately with all the construction, and right now it's really jamming up on the eastbound side. Stop and go Barrington Road to 53, with that exit ramp still down to one lane. Dan, it's a little slow as well, closer to the city from Elmhurst Road to Lee. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Eden still pretty good. The Kennedy looking at 22 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. The Ike 35 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Thank you to all of our listeners who have purchased thousands of MyPillows over the last 18 months and are enjoying your best sleep ever. But that still leaves thousands of others who haven't taken advantage of the buy one, get one free offer. What are you waiting for? It is so important to get a great night's sleep. Ever since I started sleeping on a MyPillow, I don't wrestle at night anymore trying to conform the pillow to my neck and back to get a great night's sleep. No, it conforms to my neck and back, and I'm not restless, and I sleep solidly through the evening. MyPillow also helps with snoring, headaches, insomnia, allergies. Plus, MyPillow is washable. And it does keep its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it was named the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. American made. 10-year warranty on that pillow, plus a 60-day full money-back guarantee if you are not satisfied. For the MyPillow buy one, get one free offer, visit MyPillow.com. Type Amy in the promo code. Or go old school and call the 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201.
Trust is the single most important factor in hiring a contractor. Dependable Construction and its founder, Joe Barron, built their business over 3 decades by being trustworthy. Tuck pointing, brick, and roofing is Joe's specialty. Joe started as a laborer and progressed to an expert tuck pointer and bricklayer. In addition to masonry and roofing, Joe and Dependable Construction have grown to become a full-service Angie's List and Better Business Bureau award-winning contractor. For brick, masonry, and roofing on residential, commercial, or industrial projects to any other type of remodeling or construction, you'll deal directly with owner Joe Barron. Call Joe Barron at Dependable Construction and AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor. Mention AM 560 and receive a 10% discount on most jobs. Call 773-244-1091. That's 773-244-1091. Or visit tuckpointchicago.net. 773-244-1091.
Do shopping online and using public Wi-Fi make you vulnerable to identity theft? Does giving out your social security number put you at risk? Is your dog at risk of identity theft? Yes, yes, and no. Your dog has absolutely nothing to worry about. But we do live in a world that can expose a lot of personal information, and that can lead to having your identity stolen and losing everything you've worked for. That's why at LifeLock we use proprietary technology to detect a wide variety of threats. And unlike free credit monitoring services, we have a dedicated US-based staff to help restore your identity if it ever is compromised. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But if you ask yourself whether you're worth protecting with the best, isn't the answer a resounding yes? Plans start at $9.99 a month, and now you can get 10% off. Go to lifelock.com and use promo code NEWS.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, I got a text about the Bill Clinton, the $50 million from the Clintons that is unaccounted for, $3.5 million a year.
Did you find it?
No, the text suggesting that Bill Clinton, $3.5 million, remember that number. Bill Clinton has a lot of individual A's of his own to pay off.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
it could be interesting. Maybe if if he did structured withdrawals like Denny Hastert, we could get Bill and Hillary Clinton in prison. I think Hillary would like prison more than Bill. Yeah, excuse me. So a cautionary tale for Amy Jacobson, who is eagerly awaiting the response from the food stamp program, the USDA, on your application, right?
Yeah, because my kids are Hispanic. So again, CPS thinks every Hispanic person is poor. So I received an application for SNAP to fill out to get a link card because of my kid's last name. So I filled out the application. I was honest, did not fill it out fraudulently. I put all income, child support, everything. And I'm still waiting to see whether or not I qualify. I'm testing the system.
Well, the interesting thing, there's a couple of interesting things. One, if you qualify.
If I trust me, you will be the first to know, and we'll tease it all morning long.
Goodness.
I'll have the results in an envelope, and I'll let you know.
That's one issue. Second issue is what the turnaround time is. Because if you need
food now,
right, then I would think that that application, you'd want to kind of turn those around quickly for people in need. Isn't that the point?
Well, they listed some shelters that I can go to if I need a hot meal. So that was nice.
Well,
but
you live near Rom, he'd take you in.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just be like Oliver on the door,
yeah,
banging on his door, looking through the window while he and Amy and Zach have their nightly meal together.
You can sleep in the wedding dress room at the compound there.
You're gonna respect me.
Why is this important? Because we'll see if Amy Jacobson becomes headline news again, like Vita Ofori of Worcester, Massachusetts, charged with felony of defrauding the food stamp system to the tune of $3.6 million.
What?
Yeah, between the years 2010 and 2014, she purchased the benefits at a discounted value of approximately 50 cents for every SNAP dollar, and then caused the USDA, to electronically deposit into a bank account controlled by her the full face value of the SNAP benefits fraudulently obtained. So, lest you think that people who are the beneficiaries of transfer payments, they don't respond to incentives, they don't know how to game the system, they're not smart, they can't handle themselves. Many of them can.
3.6 million?
And they're manipulating the system because they understand perfectly, better than the bureaucrats operating it, clearly, better than law enforcement, clearly, as in this case, 3.6 million over 4 years. So you could say, well, she got caught. Yeah. After $3.6 million worth of food stamps that she stole, do you think she's going to make restitution? No. So the oversight in these programs that would allow an individual to run this scam for the better part of 5 years to the tune of $3.5 million, it says something, particularly when the program has increased over the last 15 years from 17 million to 47 million. In point of fact, now in the Obama economy, America Redefined, there are more than 100 million Americans accessing one of more than a dozen federal food support programs. So just something
What's going
to
to happen
think
to her?
about whenever.
Jail time?
Well, yeah, she's
going to go to the jail?
She's going to prison. I don't know for how long, but this is not going to work out well for her now that it's finally been caught 5 years after the fact. But it says something about how efficient government is with your money and thinking about government as this provider of first resort to people truly in need and perhaps rethinking that.
I will need 2 pieces of identification.
Ah, yes. I have my temporary driver's license and my astronaut application form. I didn't pass that, though. I failed everything but the date of birth. Didn't get the job.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
The sounds of an accident. You or a loved one has been injured. Your mind is racing. What happened? Is everyone okay? What now?
I'm Dan Compton of Compton Law Group. We know that at a time like this, you want answers. More importantly, you want justice for what has taken place. If you or a loved one has been injured, please, before you sign something or talk to anyone, call Compton Law Group. This is our specialty, fighting for your rights, fighting for you, and making sure that justice is served. You can reach me at 847-742-6100. That's 847-742-6100. It's my job to make sure that you, your family, and your loved ones are protected and compensated properly. We handle nursing home accidents, car, truck, and motorcycle accidents, construction accidents, and medical malpractice.
When accidents happen, and they will happen, make sure you have Compton Law Group on your side. 847-742-6100 or online at ComptonLawGroup.net. When accidents happen, take the appropriate action with Compton Law Group, located in Elgin and serving all of Chicagoland.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Did you hear about Pope Francis privately receiving Kentucky clerk Kim Davis? No, of course you didn't, but you're going to hear about it here at 6:46.
And up next, Abby Johnson will be here, pro-life activist, talking about the testimony yesterday about Planned Parenthood on the Hill. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Clouds, 54 degrees. Folks along the East Coast being told to prepare for heavy rain, locally heavy flooding. As Tropical Storm Joaquin approaches, may be a hurricane by the time it reaches western North Carolina. More U.S. airstrikes have pounded the area around Kunduz in northern Afghanistan. Afghan troops took positions for what's likely to be a major battle to retake parts of that city from the Taliban. Tensions high over Syria as American and Russian warplanes fight against ISIS. Fox News Radio's Jessica Gulliher has more from the Middle East.
Official tells Fox News that Russian officials have demanded U.S. warplanes exit Syria immediately, saying the Kremlin's aircraft are now airborne over the country. But the U.S. will not comply, and a separate defense official says there is nothing to indicate Washington is changing operations in Syria. This is Russian lawmakers voted unanimously to let President Vladimir Putin send troops to Syria, but the Kremlin maintains it will only use its air force there, not ground troops. In the Mideast Bureau, Jessica Gulliher, Fox News Radio.
The lawyer for Kim Davis says Pope Francis met with the Kentucky county clerk who went to jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. Her lawyer says the duo met at the Vatican Embassy with the Pope in Washington, D.C. last Thursday. Planned Parenthood in the spotlight on Capitol Hill, the organization under fire for the harvesting of fetal tissue for research.
The question before us is, does this organization, does Planned Parenthood really need federal subsidy? Does it need federal dollars?
Opening a House hearing, Utah Republican Jason Chaffetz. Looks like most Americans will miss that October 1st deadline for switching to new chip-enabled credit cards. Haven't heard about it? Industry experts say more than half of all consumers have not even received the new, more secure EMV cards yet. As a result, many retailers have yet to upgrade terminals to accept the new technology. Those chip-enabled cards are widely used in Europe, where they have sharply reduced credit card fraud. A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead after police say he shot himself on the rooftop of a downtown Chicago bar. Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago. Rauner has offered the company tax incentives to move its headquarters from Omaha to the Merchandise Mart. Chicago sports, Cubs over Cincinnati 4-1. White Sox beat Kansas City 4-2, a win for Jeff Samardzija. Bulls guard Derrick Rose will have surgery on a fractured left orbital bone near his eye. The news, a service of Subway, something sizzling at Subway restaurants. It's the Subway steak and cheese footlong with tender steak, melty cheese, topped with fresh veggies all September long. Just $6 at Subway. Eat fresh. Limited time only at participating Subway restaurants. 6:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You saw him moderate the CNN presidential debate.
Hugh Hewitt, nice man.
Now you can see him live at Freedom Summit Chicago 2015. Hugh Hewitt is coming to Freedom Summit.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt. Hugh Hewitt.
And he joins an already packed lineup that includes Ann Coulter and AM 560's Sean Hannity. Freedom Summit Chicago on November 14th in Itasca with Hugh Hewitt, Sean Hannity, and Ann Coulter. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This summer was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
It's fantastic. My husband is loving the product. I'm so happy that I ordered it.
Yeah, I haven't got sick in a year, first time in my life.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors and nurses nationwide and should be yours. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner provides an accurate temperature, stress-free. Available at Walgreens.
We're fed up with the so-called conservatives in Congress, tired of their support for the entire liberal ruling class agenda in Washington, D.C. Well, so is the Heartland Institute, a leader in promoting free market solutions. I encourage you to join the Heartland Institute and like-minded Friends of Liberty on Thursday, October 8th for their 31st anniversary dinner as they welcome Angelo Codevilla, author of The Ruling Class, How They Corrupted America and What We Can Do About It. Explore how this group of political elites educated at left-wing universities are convinced of their own brilliance and whose success largely depends on access to politicians and government flunkies. Help counter the ruling class that's demeaning, impoverishing, and demoralizing us. Also speaking is former Reagan White House Personnel Director Donald J. Devine. Help further the fight for freedom. Visit heartland.org to purchase your tickets for this important 31st anniversary dinner at the Cotillion in Palatine. That's heartland.org. Do it now.
6:37 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Adams Tollway has delays from Barrington Road to 53 with the exit ramps down to one lane, and it's also heavy Elmhurst Road to Lee. Inbound Eden's delays start around 2-8, 21 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 27 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 30. The Eisenhower, 38 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 33. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop 426 crashed at Sibley in the two left lanes. Traffic service of WesternUnion.com's mobile app. Need to send money? Send online with WesternUnion.com or try their free 4-star app. They'll have cash ready for pickup in minutes at any of Western Union's nearly 500,000 global agent locations. With WesternUnion.com, send money quick as a click. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and breezy, 62 today, 50 overnight. 54 at O'Hare. It is 44 this morning in Aurora. Hello. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Kelly Financial Services, helping you secure your financial future today. Visit kellyfinancialservicesinc.com.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, yesterday, Cecile the Lion was in front of the House Oversight Committee testifying as to why Planned Parenthood should continue to receive federal funding and what it does with that federal funding in addition to pay her very handsome salary. I thought Congressman Cynthia Loomis, she's a Republican from Wyoming, had a pertinent question for which there is no good answer, at least if you're a defender of Planned Parenthood.
Let me ask you this. Could you function on non-federal dollars? Why do you need federal dollars? You're making a ton of dough.
We don't make any profit off of federal money. And if I could just have a moment to explain.
You're using federal
$1.6
dollars
million
and displacing money that could go to the 13,000 healthcare clinics. My time's up. I yield back.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, I'm not sure Planned Parenthood's time is up with respect to $500 million annually in federal funds. But for more reviews of what Cecile Richards had to say yesterday in the context of all of these videos that have been released over the last several months, we're now joined by our friend Abby Johnson, who is a former Planned Parenthood clinic director, someone who regularly had interaction with said Cecile Richards, and now a pro-life activist. So for those people who don't think people can change their minds on this issue, or any issue for that matter, happens all the time. Abby Johnson, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
So what was your reaction to what Cecile Richards had to say on the Hill yesterday? Pick the thing that we should most focus on, in your opinion.
Well, I think that, there's so many things. I think we had a big victory yesterday. Cecile Richards was directly asked if Planned Parenthood provides any mammogram services. Cecile Richards had to admit that no, Planned Parenthood has no mammogram machines in any of their facilities. That was a big lie that had been perpetuated by them for several years, when Cecile Richards actually went on the Joy Behar show and said that if Planned Parenthood lost funding, women would lose access to services like mammograms. So I think that was a big victory. I think their lies are finally coming out. But I think that, the American public, we hear so often that, well, it's only 3% of their services, 3% of their services. So I think that, it's time for people to understand how they come up with this number, that, they are doing this very creative unbundling of their services when it comes to family planning. So, if a woman goes in for her annual exam, they may say, well, you've had one visit. It should be that you have one visit with 14 different procedure codes, but instead what they're doing is they're unbundling that visit so that it looks like there's 14 separate visits. And they do the opposite with abortion. And you can actually see that just by going to their annual report. It's public information. I think that, we need to do a better job as conservatives of really helping people understand that lie, that myth, and really calling them out on it.
And Congressman Loomis, who I refer to at the outset here, she made the point, you may call it 3% of your services, but it's 86% of your revenue, and isn't that relevant? And the point that she made went unchallenged by Richards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that we need to do a better job at really dissecting the argument that Planned Parenthood continues to put out there over and over again, that people just blindly believe because they are going pretty much unchallenged.
So by law, no federal money can go to abortions or to fund abortions, but you've been there. You know what's going on. Tell us. It's hard to decipher where the funds are going, but if they're not using those federal funds, at least they're using the fetal tissues and selling them illegally to profit. What did you see during your time there?
Well, it's funny they keep talking about this separation as if there's two separate bank accounts and people are paid from two separate payroll companies or something like that. There is no separation of funds. So it's the same bank account. People that pay, if they give us $500 for an abortion, that goes into the same bank account that somebody they give us, $150 for birth control pills. So it's absurd to think that, and I mean, it's what they keep saying, so people believe it. But no, there's absolutely no separation of funds. It all goes into the same account. Abortion money is paying for, family planning, resources, and family planning resources, that the money that comes in from the federal government is paying for Cecile Richards' paycheck, and it's also paying for new abortion equipment. It's also paying the paychecks for people that only work on days that they're performing abortions. So there's absolutely no separation.
And the clinic that you formerly worked at in Texas, if I'm not mistaken, was profiled in one of the videos that was done by the Center for Medical Progress, and is one of those clinics that is engaged in the dissemination, the trafficking in baby body parts. What was your experience on that issue in particular during your time at Planned Parenthood?
Yeah, we did participate in fetal tissue research at the facility where I worked, inside of the entire affiliate. We were paid $200 per baby that was sold to the research lab. Our cost, we could put about 15 to 20 babies inside of a box that was shipped to the research company. And so, we're talking about probably a $20 to $25 shipping cost. That's the only cost that was incurred on our end from participating in the research. So we're talking about, $1 to $2 of actual cost per baby, but we were receiving $200. I think it's really important, for us to, keep our eyes on the end goal. The travesty is not that there are body parts being sold of aborted babies. The problem is that there are aborted babies to begin with.
Well, that's true, but when Cecile Richards says, as she did yesterday, that the allegations on those videos are offensive and untrue, they may be offensive, but they're certainly not untrue.
No, they're not. They're not untrue, and every affiliate's going to operate a little bit differently. But that was the experience inside of my affiliate. It's a big business, and they're already getting paid, $400 to $500 for a first trimester abortion, and then at my affiliate, then on top of that, getting paid an additional $200. And of course, the women don't know. We're signing them up for this study, and we're not letting them know that we are actually profiting from this fetal tissue.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. How much do they charge normally for an abortion? Because when Congresswoman Mia Love from Utah asked Ms. Richards that, she could not answer the question.
Yeah, it's interesting. I find it so. I mean, either Cecile is the most uninformed president of an organization, or she is just dodging answers. I just find it bizarre that, there's so many times where she doesn't know the answer to a question. And it just makes me wonder, it makes me realize that Cecile is actually not inside of these clinics. She's not seeing what's going on inside of Planned Parenthood. She is also being driven by the talking points that are given to her by their communications department.
Right, but I mean, you had interaction with Cecile Richards during your time at Planned Parenthood, and do you find her to be someone who is asleep at the switch, like she's not a day-to-day operator? It seems to me, particularly when they were talking about her political activism in addition to operating Planned Parenthood on a daily basis, that she is hyper-engaged.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she is basically Planned Parenthood's talking head. She's very articulate. She's an intelligent person, but I don't know. She just seems very disengaged at the clinical level. I think that she goes to their political rallies. She does that sort of thing, but I just don't think that she's engaged at the day-to-day level inside of the clinic. And, I honestly wish that Congress would have someone who used to work in the industry, who was involved in the day-to-day, speak out and talk about what's really going on.
Yeah, it would
Someone
be good.
Like you.
Yeah. Jason Chafetz's office should get in contact with one Abby Johnson. Abby Johnson, pro-life activist, former Planned Parenthood Clinic Director. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Some high clouds this morning, otherwise plenty of sunshine, breezy, a high of 62 degrees tonight, clear, low of 50, and tomorrow, more of the same. Plenty of sunshine. It will be breezy and a high in the low 60s. Let's get the travel times and see how the inbound Kennedy is shaping up. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Kennedy, delays are from the River Road Toll to Central and Irving Park to Ohio. 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it's 35. Eastbound Eden Spur, heavy approaching the Edens. Then it's slow again before Dempster. 28 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound, 21. The Eisenhower, 48 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, 37. Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 36. The Rhine is 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford inbound at Sibley. There's a crash on the shoulder. It's about 26 minutes from 8094 to the Ryan. Eastbound Adams Tollway jammed. Barrington to 53 with the exit down to one lane. Reagan Tollway very slow, 31 to Wiola with a crash on the right shoulder. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
AM 560 is a brand new mobile app, and it can do some pretty cool things. You can download podcasts of this show straight from the app. You can set an alarm to wake up to the show every morning. And, of course, you can listen to AM 560 wherever you are right on the mobile app. And if you download or upgrade to the new mobile app between now and October 9th, you'll be able to enter to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Cancun, Mexico for a week-long stay at the Secrets The Vine all-inclusive resort courtesy of our good friends over at Apple Vacations. To get the app for your mobile device so you can register to win the trip, go to 560theanswer.com/mobile. That's 560theanswer.com/mobile. And download Paradise, available for both Apple and Android-powered devices, presented by Permaseal Basements.
And now it's time for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report, brought to you by the Mutual Fund Store.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Corporate Development's economic reports in focus. Investors hoping that what's been a rough month for stocks will end favorably. Those stories next.
I believe in the American entrepreneur. The small business owner is truly the backbone of the American economy. Hi, I'm Steve Cooper, co-founder of Ursop.com, the Entrepreneur Rollover Stock Ownership Plan. My partner Karen Franklin and I started Ursop.com over 15 years ago because we're on a mission to help as many people as possible open and run their own businesses, simply, quickly, and easily, by using their own retirement funds. Then 3, 4, 5 years later, put the money back and have the corporation carry on by itself. Then you'll have the business and the security of the retirement funds, too. We recently worked with a gentleman who accomplished this in only 9 months. Ursop.com can set it up for you in about 2 weeks. It's pre-approved by the IRS, and it's totally legal. We've helped thousands of people achieve the dream of being their own boss. Give us a call, and let's talk about how we can help you, too. Call 866-MY-URSOP. That's 866-MYERSOP. Invest in yourself. Call 866-MY-URSOP. 866-MY-URSOP.
Investors looking forward to getting September over with. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 have fallen more than 4% this month. The Dow Jones Industrials down almost 3%. We'll see whether economic reports help lessen those monthly losses. Wall Street assessing reports on private sector job growth, Midwest manufacturing, and weekly crude oil inventories. Readings on the European and Japanese economies will also influence investors. A number of companies in the spotlight, declining oil and gas prices forcing Chesapeake Energy to cut 15% of its workforce. And Ralph Lauren stepping down as his company's CEO, handing over the reins to Stefan Larson, who resigned from Old Navy to take the job. Please join us for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
If you're a small business owner, you know that image is everything. This is Dina, manager of Aunt D's Slots and Wine Bar in Hickory Hills. As an upscale venue, our clients expect a clean and presentable business. After a year of heavy traffic, our carpet really showed the stains from numerous wine tastings and special events that we couldn't clean ourselves. We called Executive Green Carpet Cleaning when we heard about their no-risk guarantee, promising that we would be happy or we wouldn't need to pay. They scheduled a time convenient for us, not what fit their calendar. Executive Green used their own purified water and non-toxic solution. It left the carpet residue-free and even took wine stains out we thought were permanent. If you're a small business owner looking to clean carpet, upholstery, tile, and more, call Executive Green Carpet Cleaning.
Call 708-599-5151. That's 708-599-5151. Or visit executivegreencarpetcleaning.com. That's executivegreencarpetcleaning.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So Pope Francis in town last week, a stop that he made that was underreported. It just started to trickle out yesterday.
What's that?
He met with Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk.
Did he really?
This is following the Pope's comments that conscientious objection is the right of every human being. He, in an interview with Terry Moran from ABC News, said of conscientious objection, it is a human right, and if a government official is a human person, he has that right. It's a human right. On Thursday, September 24th, so last Thursday, in the afternoon after his address to Congress, just a few minutes before flying to New York City, Pope Francis received, spoke with, and embraced Kim Davis, the Kentucky clerk, jailed, of course, for refusing to sign marriage licenses.
Wow. How did they pull that off without anybody knowing?
Also present was Kim's husband, Joe Davis.
Oh, was he wearing his overalls and his straw hat?
Was not there. Not sure.
Sorry. Well, there's a picture of it, right?
I think he was wearing his good overalls.
Okay, sorry.
So they dusted the good ones off. Kim Davis saying to this, I'm reading from InsideTheVatican.com. Kim Davis telling this author, the Pope spoke in English. There was no interpreter. Thank you for your courage, Pope Francis said to me. I said, thank you, Holy Father. I asked a Monsignor earlier what was the proper way to greet the Pope and whether it would be appropriate for me to embrace him, and I'd been told it would be okay to hug him, so I hugged him, and he hugged me back. It was an extraordinary moment. Stay strong, Pope Francis said to me. Then he gave me a rosary as a gift. He also gave one to my husband, Joe. I broke into tears. I was deeply moved. Then he said to Kim Davis, please pray for me. And I said to him, please pray for me, also, Holy Father. And there's the meet. So an important two interesting moments undercovered and underreported, and I'm sure will continue to be by the media. Little Sisters of the Poor, the ones that sued Obamacare, conscientious objection, and Kim Davis. An important angle in the Pope's visit, an important principle the Pope wanted to make sure was articulated, probably won't be embraced by the left as much as maybe some of the interpretations of his comments on climate change.
And maybe now she'll convert to Catholicism.
Your audiovisual experience is one that's supposed to be enjoyable. If your home or office lacks the big-time performance you really need, it's time to be shocked with options from Sound Design. Sound Design has the technical background to build it all. They know the value of seeing a project through to the end, and Sound Design will stick with you until you're satisfied, even post-job. Home theaters, office video, and sound design. Sure, you can go order equipment from a big box store, but then what? Yikes. Sound Design knows they set the industry standard. This is a company that will take a potential new customer to a current customer space to show off their handiwork. That's why people rave about audio and visual solutions from Sound Design. Be sure to get a demo of the Bang & Olufsen speakers, where sophisticated, sleek design meets amazing sound and function. You can visit sounddesigninc.com, but if you really want expert answers to your questions, call 630-548-7000. That's 630-548-7000. Sound Design, where quality service and installation makes the difference.
So often on this show, we talk about the important issues that affect your world, but because there's always so much going on, we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. So one of the reasons I'm involved with a new website, along with the Illinois Policy Institute, called Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com. At Upstream Ideas, you'll find info that will inform the discussions we're having here on this show and elsewhere. At Upstream Ideas, we broaden the parameters of debate and move beyond the same old partisan assumptions. We challenge accepted orthodoxies, and we debunk some of the faulty premises that inform the rules on which our free society is based. In other words, we're pushing against the current and thinking upstream. Speaking of Against the Current, you can see a new edition of Against the Current, my long-form interview with Brian Timponi on media in the 21st century that will be posted today. We'll ask, why are conditions the way they are, and how can those conditions be improved at Upstream? So go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. With each visit to Upstream Ideas, you'll be armed with new info and fresh perspectives to spur you to make the state of Illinois and the good old USA a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you wanted to do an FHA Streamline refinance to lower your interest rate and payment, you called me and I helped you. When you wanted to refinance your 11% loan, you called me and I helped you. When you wanted to use your retirement assets to do an asset depletion loan, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, please call me at 312-751-1333. 312-751-1333. Email me at david@pearldavid.com. That's david@PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. pearlmortgage.com licensing.
A complete look at your weather forecast coming up after Fox News. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. 2 days after President Obama's blunt and frank meeting with Russia's leader at the UN, Moscow wants the U.S. to get out of Syria. Fox News Radio's Jessica Gallagher live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, a senior U.S. defense official telling Fox News a Russian general delivered a request that American warplanes not fly in northern Syria because Russian warplanes are preparing to begin airstrikes. Military sources say the U.S. will not comply and coalition operations continue over the war-torn country with 4 recent airstrikes in Syria. This is Russia's parliament has given President Vladimir Putin authorization to send ground troops to Syria. The Kremlin maintains it will only use its air force there, not boots on the ground. Dave.
Jessica, Iran caught trying to smuggle missiles and other weapons to rebels who've been trying to take over Yemen. The Saudi-led coalition battling them says they found the arsenal hidden in a fishing boat on Saturday. Now an update just in on a big storm out in the Atlantic.
Joaquin now has maximum sustained winds at 75 miles per hour, making it a hurricane.
Fox meteorologist Maria Molina says it could intensify.
Potentially into a Category 2 storm. Right now, the mid-Atlantic coast and also parts of the Northeast in the cone of uncertainty.
Hurricane warnings are up in the Bahamas. She sang Amazing Grace as she died. Kelly Gissendaner also cried and apologized before getting a lethal injection shortly after midnight, the first woman executed in Georgia in 70 years.
Gissendaner was convicted of conspiring with her lover to murder her husband. Douglas Gissendaner was stabbed to death. Her lover, Gregory Owen, testified against her and is serving a sentence of life in prison.
Fox News Radio Sal Jean Grasso. Gissendaner found God on death row, and her lawyers appealed for mercy. So did Pope Francis, but to no avail. Kim Davis claims she met with Pope Francis last week when he was in Washington, and the Pope told her to stay strong. Davis, the Kentucky County Clerk, who on religious grounds refuses to give out same-sex marriage licenses. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clearing skies this morning, cool 55 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead. Police say he shot himself in Chicago. Leo Amin of Crystal Lake was discovered with a gunshot wound to the head yesterday at a downtown rooftop bar after Dina Seymour was discovered earlier that morning in her Grays Lake home. An investigation revealed the pair was dating. Chicago Public Schools are promising that all special ed students will be provided with the services they need in spite of planned layoffs. The district announcing last week a drop in enrollment will lead to a $12 million reduction in the department's budget later this fall. An eruption of gun violence in Chicago Monday, drawing angry responses from the mayor and his top police official. As AM 560's David Stewart reports from City Hall.
In a period of about 15 hours, 6 people died, including a pregnant woman and her mother, and at least 8 others were wounded, including an 11-month-old boy. Mayor Emanuel called for tougher gun laws and tougher prosecutions.
Way too many guns on the streets of the city of Chicago with too little values and the penalties that don't match the values of the city of Chicago.
Superintendent Gary McCarthy says increasing gun arrests doesn't matter if the courts don't make them stick and keep the shooters in jail.
Until such time that they're held accountable, we could make 1 billion gun arrests a year, and it's not going to make a difference.
Murders in Chicago are up 21% over last year. David Stewart, Chicago.
Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago, the Tribune says. Rauner has offered a complicated tax incentive package to move its headquarters from Omaha to the city, leasing office space in the Merchandise Mart. And a Chicago growing grocery chain is looking to provide its own home delivery. Mariano's is researching if customers want the service, which is currently being offered by a third-party company. Cubs over Cincinnati 4-1. White Sox beat KC. And a win for Jeff Samardzija, 4-2. Derrick Rose will have surgery on his left eye, a fractured left orbital bone. The news service of WesternUnion.com's mobile app. Need to send money? Send online with WesternUnion.com or try our free 4-star app. They'll have cash ready for pickup in minutes at any of WU's nearly 500,000 global agent locations. With WesternUnion.com, send money quick as a click. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The FICO score is not really even a good indication that you pay your debts back.
Dave Ramsey.
What it's an indication of is, do you love debt? And are you planning on staying in debt continually, forever? If you're running around trying to build your FICO score and you call that winning with money, you're stupid. Was I unclear? I hope not. Because you're not winning with money. That's the point.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show, tonight at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
True or false? Huntington Learning Center franchise owners earn revenues 61% higher than their closest competitor.
True!
True or false? You can start a Huntington franchise for under $100,000.
True!
True or false? Huntington is a respected national tutoring and test prep leader with almost 4 decades of proven results.
True!
It's true. Opening a Huntington Learning Center franchise is the perfect opportunity to run a business that's both personally and financially rewarding. No previous educational experience required. Our model is simple. We provide you with our winning formula for student success, in-house financing, and ongoing support. You help students from K through 12 achieve outstanding academic results. And in turn, you score phenomenal financial returns. If you're passionate about making a difference and dream of owning a successful business, call 855-823-0000 or visit huntingtonfranchise.com to join the nation's top earning tutoring and test prep franchise. That's 855-823-0000.
7:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Edens, 31 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. Inbound Kennedy now slow from the River Road toll to Ohio. It's 37 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 20 from Montrose, 12 on the Express. Outbound 40 minutes to the airport, the Eisenhower. 50 minutes Thorndale to the post office. 36 from Manheim. Outbound 37 to Thorndale. Mount Stevenson, 50 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Ryan is 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 33 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 49. Lakeshore Drive northbound slow from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State northbound slow 111th to 47th and Roosevelt to 290. Eastbound Adams Tollway jammed, Higgins to 53. Reagan Tollway very slow, Orchard to Eola. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Mostly sunny and breezy today. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour with a high 62. Then a clear night with a low 50. Breezy with sunshine tomorrow again. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. High of 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
54 in O'Hare, 55 along the lake, 44 this morning in Aurora. Your next news update, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Laz Word with Tom and Dave, heard Sundays at midnight.
Good morning. Welcome to your Wednesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Now to that showdown on Capitol Hill today, the head of Planned Parenthood facing questions for hours, grilled by lawmakers after those undercover videos recorded by anti-abortion activists of Planned Parenthood employees.
Do you profit or make money on abortion services?
What this is really all about, plain and simple, money and politics.
Now to the race for 2016, and tonight it is Bill Clinton versus Donald Trump. The former president is back amid his wife's slumping poll numbers. We started to hear from him this weekend, and tonight he's now coming out swinging, defending his wife and going further.
You shouldn't be able to insult your way to the White House.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. What up, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson? So, Amy, the shadow attorney general during the regime years is Judicial Watch, and they've done it again. They have, through FOIA and obtaining government documents, identified 1,519 quote-unquote inadmissible foreigners embroiled in terrorism that were granted asylum by the United States last year because the crimes they committed were committed, quote, while under duress. Under changes, the Secretary of Homeland Security, under legal changes that have made in terms of granting foreign nationals asylum, the Secretary of Homeland Security has, quote, discretionary authority, unquote, to waive certain grounds of inadmissibility relating to terrorism. So why do we even worry about vetting these Syrian refugees if we have a regime that's going to let people into this country grant asylum to people who have known ties to terrorism? What's the difference? We put that question to our friend, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who is the chairman of the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee in the Senate. Senator Johnson, thanks for joining us.
Morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. How are you guys doing?
Good. So what about this? We're granting asylum to people we know have ties to terrorism. So why even bother vetting those Syrian refugees that are coming over?
I realize your question is sarcastic, but it's a good one because, I'm highly concerned about the pressure being put on, I would say Congress, I would say on the Department of Homeland Security and the United States to take more of the Syrian refugees in without doing the proper vetting. And let's face it, I would say it's probable that ISIS will infiltrate the migrants, the refugees that are flowing into Europe, and certainly people that could be given refugee status directly from the U.S. But I think the more concerning problem would be uncontrolled flow into Europe. They get documents in Europe. We have visa waiver programs, and next thing you know, it's going to be a whole lot easier for them to get into the United States from access points in Europe and throughout the world. So, but this is a serious threat. And I think what people are glossing over is the root cause, and the root cause is a completely out of control situation in Syria and Iraq. And it's completely out of control because this president's strategy with peace through withdrawal has been a miserable failure.
Well, speaking of the president's strategy, about fell off my chair yesterday when he was speaking with a small group of people at the UN. He said that jobs and a good governance are the key issues in defeating ISIS in Syria. How ridiculous is that?
We need a jobs for terrorists program.
Yeah, no, let's face it, this president has been denying reality really from day one, whether it's on the debt and deficit. I mean, there's a reason that he referred to ISIS as a JV team. He denied reality so he didn't have to deal with it. There's a reason he talks about Vladimir Putin and offering him off-ramps when any rational person would realize that, no, Vladimir Putin's not looking for off-ramps. He's looking for on-ramps. He found a new one in Syria, and he's taking it. And, of course, it really explains the president's deal with Iran. It was just basically, don't do a nuke on my watch. I'll lift the sanctions. Let somebody do that on their watch. So, no, it's this denial of reality that's putting our nation at risk.
I want to get to Putin in a second, but just going back to processing asylum seekers, I understand the root cause is what's happening in Syria, but we have to deal in the immediacy with the impact of what's happening, and that is these asylum seekers. And so what is the protocol, if you can explain to people, what's the protocol now to seek asylum, and is it even possible with the caps raised to legitimately process 50,000, 70,000, 100,000 Syrian refugees or refugees from other parts of the world where we have very little information about them?
According to DHS, who is really the agency charged with granting the approval, it generally takes about 18 months to 24 months to do a proper vetting job, and that's with personal interviews in country, to make sure and do all kinds of different background checks, test against the terrorist watch list. Basically, the 10,000, and by the way, we let in about 70,000 refugees routinely. That's been the limit. They're increasing that to 85,000. That's a 20% increase. Do we really have the resources to properly vet those? And those are very serious questions. And, the other question is, what is the criteria on which we're going to be letting the Syrian refugees in? These are basically referred to us by the UN Human Rights Commission. And, we just kind of accept their recommendations as opposed to developing our own criteria of, potentially family members of U.S. Syrian citizens here that can provide financial support. I mean, there should be better criteria for this that I think would help keep our national security safe.
Well, going back to Putin and what's going on in Syria this morning, we're learning that Russia conducted its first airstrikes in Syria. And Putin sent a strong message to Obama. I thought he schooled him a little bit by saying, if we have Assad step down, then ISIS is going to win. What is your take on that?
Well, we had a hearing on this, and we had a number of humanitarian organizations who were on the ground in Syria, and their conclusion was that Assad is not attacking ISIS. Assad is attacking his own population, the moderate rebels. And the fact of the matter is the refugee crisis is caused by Assad's barrel bombing and shelling of his own people, not by ISIS. Now, ISIS is a problem, but by backing Assad, basically what Russia is going to be doing is really aiding his efforts of slaughtering his own people. And by the way, Assad has slaughtered close to 250,000 of his own citizens. There are about 7.6 million Syrians displaced within Syria, 4 million outside the country. So what we're seeing in Europe, the hundreds of thousands, it's just the tip of the iceberg, which is why what we have to do is we have to stabilize the situation in Syria. I don't think Russia and Iran will stabilize it other than by continuing the slaughter of Syrian citizens.
But how do we stabilize it? Because not only this morning are we hearing reports that Russia has started its first airstrikes, Fox News is also reporting that Putin is demanding the U.S. stop airstrikes in Syria as Putin has gotten the go-ahead to send Russian troops into Syria. Now, Russian troops on the ground, doesn't that change the calculus?
Well, as in so many cases, President Obama has made the situation far worse. I'm not sure there's much we can do anymore. Now that Putin has taken this action, what we should have done, quite honestly, years ago, assembled a coalition of the willing, set up no-fly zones, set up some safe zones for Syrian refugees to be safe inside Syria, so that Jordan and Turkey and Lebanon and now Europe didn't have to accept all these refugee flows. We should have been trying to stabilize the situation. We didn't. We sat by. We did nothing. And here's something to contemplate, guys. The combined economies of the U.S. and Europe, over $30 trillion. The combined economy of Russia and Iran is less than $3 trillion. They're less than 10% of our economic strength. And yet who's pushing who around? Who's gaining influence in the Middle East?
Yeah, it's the committed few always change the world for good or for bad, and it doesn't look like we have the committed few, at least in positions of power. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican senator from Wisconsin, chairman of the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee in the Senate. Thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today once we get through a few high clouds this morning. We'll be breezy, a crisp fall day, as they say, a high of 62 degrees. Tonight, clear, a low of 50. And tomorrow, pretty much more of the same. We'll have breezy conditions with plenty of sunshine, a high of 61. Let's see how the inbound Ike is doing this morning. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Delays on the Eisenhower from St. Charles to the Tri-State and Manheim to Independence. It's 50 minutes from Thorndale to downtown, outbound 37. Edens, 31 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 23. The Kennedy, 37 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 45. Stevenson, looking at 56 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. The Ryan, 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford still a mess after an earlier crash. 49 minutes, 8094 to the Ryan, I-57 at 33. Northbound Tri-State slow, 111th past the Hinsdale Oasis and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Adams tollway delays, Beverly to 59, Barrington to past Roselle. And then Elmhurst to Lee, Reagan tollway stop and go Orchard to Eola with a crash on the right shoulder. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Hey, if that sounds like you every day, you are not alone. Bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women until now. Introducing the new Genucell serum with plant stem cell technology from Chamonix. They take it from a Swiss apple. I love it. I've been using it for months now, and I've noticed a difference right away. I use it in the morning and use it at night. It's that simple. And with its instant effects, you'll see results in the first 12 hours or your money back. They guarantee it. So call now and save big on Genucell's risk-free introductory offer. Men out there who have bags and puffiness, I dare you to call the number and just give it a try. Call 800-525-8323. That's 800-525-8323. Call now and you'll get the amazing Esotique face cream as a special gift simply by placing your order. That number again, 800-525-8323. 800-525-8323.
Do shopping online and using public Wi-Fi make you vulnerable to identity theft? Does giving out your social security number put you at risk? Is your dog at risk of identity theft? Yes, yes, and no. Your dog has absolutely nothing to worry about. But we do live in a world that can expose a lot of personal information, and that can lead to having your identity stolen and losing everything you've worked for. That's why at LifeLock we use proprietary technology to detect a wide variety of threats. And unlike free credit monitoring services, we have a dedicated US-based staff to help restore your identity if it ever is compromised. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But if you ask yourself whether you're worth protecting with the best, isn't the answer a resounding yes? Plans start at $9.99 a month, and now you can get 10% off. Go to lifelock.com and use promo code NEWS.
This is Michelle DeVal from DeVal Jewelers. I'm thrilled to tell you about our great selection and prices on stackables, bracelets, mother's rings, and of course our amazing choice of diamond and gold jewelry. Go ahead, Dennis. You're anxious to say something.
It's also gratifying when listeners come in and remember Reno, Donna, and of course yours truly from our Belmont Central store in the old neighborhood. I encourage listeners to bring us their diamonds and fine jewelry because we will buy them at fair prices.
Whether you're a previous customer or a new one, we have been Chicagoland's family jeweler for over 100 years. We take pride in having the perfect jewelry selection for every budget and taste preference.
And no matter where you live in Chicagoland, we are easy to get to and worth the drive. DeVal Jewelers is just south of the Kennedy on Harlem in Harwood Heights. Call us at 708-867-8200.
That's 708-867-8200, and our website is DAVALLE.com.
DeVal Jewelers, more bling
and less sting.
On Thursday, October 1st, Maccabi Tel Aviv, one of the most glamorous teams in global basketball with 51 Israeli League championships and 6 European titles, will square off against Armani Milano with 26 Italian League championship titles of their own. Watch these two excellent teams go head-to-head at the United Center. It's Israel versus Italy right here in Chicago. Watch ex-Big Ten stars like Robbie Hummel and Illinois' Brian Randall, as well as future NBA prospects like Dragon Bender and Alessandro Gentile. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
Hi, I'm Parker Conrad, and I'm the CEO of Zenefits. Zenefits takes all your HR systems, payroll, insurance, time tracking, and we connect them all together so you and your employees can manage them all online in one place. You don't have to deal with stuff like filling out new hire paperwork, health insurance forms. That's all gone. More than 10,000 small businesses use our service, and we'd love to show you what Zenefits can do for yours.
See what Zenefits is all about, and best of all, it's free. Zenefits.com. Zenefits.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
What you talking about, huh? What you talking about, Danny?
Willis, we were talking about refugees with Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. Doesn't seem to be an obvious solution, but apparently Mike in Park Ridge has cracked the code. Mike, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan and Amy. I got an upstream idea here for you.
Oh,
with
okay.
refugees
Nicely
seeking
done.
asylum.
Yeah.
I think we should welcome them all in. They're all 90% of them are men, young, military age. We should put them in a military training camp, educate them, document them, and those are our ground troops going back to their country to retake their country.
Not bad. They're onto something. Thanks for the call, Mike. It's interesting. Required military service. I don't know.
like his upstream idea, Dan.
Yeah, I'd want to be very careful about arming them all right away. I mean, the amazing thing of what Ron Johnson said, 18 to 24 months, according to Homeland Security, to really properly vet someone seeking asylum. And yet we're talking about just sort of opening the floodgates to some extent. I mean, I understand there's a cap, but that's a lot of people to process that we know very little about. And I've said before, the principle of this being a country that provides for political asylum from those being oppressed, absolutely subscribe to that. But it doesn't mean that we should do so kind of carelessly.
But where are they going to go? I mean, there's 18 cities that have said, we'll take them. And Chicago, of course, is one of them. And San Francisco, all the liberal cities.
Yeah. Put them all in Lakeview.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then they put them in Lakeview, and what do the liberals do? there's Syrian refugees
Right.
here. Run for the
Yeah.
hills. Our property values are going down.
I love these policies in the
it's so
abstract
great.
where I can be a sentimental barbarian, but when they're visited upon me in my life,
Whoa, hey.
not so much. Transitioning a bit, a little college campus beat. University of Illinois. It's
Do I have to take that off the list too now?
down the, long ago. I think when
when
they
they-
retained James Kilgore, convicted felon terrorist, as a professor there, I think that was the time you should say X marks
the list.
spot in Champaign. U of I hijab challenge.
Hijab. You
Going
say
on.
hijab, I say hijab.
Hijab, potato. The Muslim Students Association is presenting
A new Broadway
live from
off-Broadway?
Champaign.
Off-Broadway play?
Wear a hijab challenge to raise awareness on the roles and beliefs of Muslim women.
Oh, come on.
And what it means to wear a scarf. The challenge invites women of all backgrounds to participate for 3 days.
Well, did you bring one in for me?
I did not.
Well, what's wrong with you? I'll take one in the color pink, please.
Okay, well, I just drive a couple hours down to Champaign, participate. They'll love to have you. Here's the outreach chair for the Muslim Student Association on the campus of University of Illinois explaining the challenge.
This is actually part of Islam Awareness Week. So this is part of my duty as an outreach officer. It's a week-long event, and this year the theme is hyphenating the gap between Muslim and American. We're offering a 3-day challenge for women to wear a hijab for 3 days and basically to really immerse themselves in the environment of a hijab and see what it means to Muslim women.
I think it's really nice that they're giving others the opportunity to not be like them, but get to experience what they have to go through.
Out of this challenge, I really want women to experience the hijab and to understand what it means. Because for a lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions surrounding Islam in general and the hijab as well. So people view it as a symbol of oppression, whereas I view it as a symbol of empowerment. And I really just want people to ask questions because this might really be the only chance that they have throughout their lives to talk to a Muslim and really ask them a question. So we have Talk to a Muslim booth throughout the week for that, where people sit out on the quad with a sign that says Talk to a Muslim booth. And you can ask them questions about classes, about religion, about anything at all, where they're from. That's what college is all about. It's about experimenting, challenging yourself, stepping out of your comfort zone, and really learning about things that you don't know about.
So you can sit on the quad down at U of I with a hijab on, but not with an American flag.
That's right, because during the 9/11 anniversary, they wanted to put up small American flags. They said, no, it'll ruin the piping or the sprinkler system.
The irrigation
Yeah,
system on
but-
the quad, yeah.
But it's okay to have a talk
Hijab.
to a Muslim sign
I mean,
and just sit down and chat. I mean, I think actually I would partake in that if I had some questions, because I do see that as a little bit of a sign of oppression where my friend who's Palestinian's like, no, this is an honor to wear this. I'm like, okay, I don't agree, but all right, ask some more questions.
Yeah. Like, well, if you go to Saudi Arabia, why can't you drive? So
If you're accused of adultery, why do you get stoned to death?
I mean, I think I don't take any umbrage at what they're doing. That's
No.
fine if you want to kind of
Their freedom of
and
speech
to
freedom
try
of
and
religion.
promote understanding in their perspective. That's fine. I mean, it's a little bit of a showpiece, but I get it. You want to talk about doing something to kind of understand the oppressed on a college campus?
Yeah.
Have everyone walk around spouting conservative philosophy for a week. And see how they're treated. So walk a mile in the shoes of a conservative on a college campus in America. That's when you really understand what it's like to be ridiculed and oppressed and treated as a subhuman.
I've picked out a hijab that you should buy for me to wear when I go to U of I this weekend.
Well, I understand, and you can't purchase that yourself because you're awaiting your food stamp application
Right.
results.
And I need volleyballs.
Bob and Waukegan.
Yeah, this is the perfect opportunity for President Obama to redeem Guantanamo. They should open Gitmo, fill it to capacity, and until the people who have been vetted that are at Gitmo, they can't add another person. So that would be the perfect way to vet them and keep them away from our damn country before they blow us up.
Thanks for the call, Bob. I thought he was talking about U of I students, sending them to Gitmo, which I'm
did
also
I.
open to. Greg in Northlake, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, sending them to get one. That's not a bad idea either.
Yeah.
Hey, I think this hijab challenge, that's a great idea. I mean, the Muslim faith is so inclusive, so wonderful towards women. Let's promote that. Absolutely.
All right, you're on board. Thanks for the call,
Well, they're going to
Greg.
explain why they like to be oppressed. why they have to cover up, what it really means, because nobody should see them except for their husband in the privacy of their own home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the privacy of their own home with their co-wives.
Assalamu alaikum.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
I was on thyroid medicine for 5 years. I have completely got off of it, and all my blood work came back excellent.
It does a lot of good for me because I feel it works. The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down, and it's normal now.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code Chicago.
Can you recognize the signs of a structural foundation problem? As fall approaches, many homeowners across Chicago are experiencing the symptoms of structural foundation issues. Have you noticed doors or windows that no longer shut properly? Are there new cracks in your drywall or exterior brickwork? Are your floors uneven? Well, these indicators can be a sign of damage to your home's foundation. Now, before you pay an expensive consultation fee just to determine the problem, you should call Permaseal at 800-421-SEAL for a free, that's right, a free inspection. One of their certified consultants will thoroughly evaluate your foundation and offer a permanent solution. For more than 36 years, Permaseal has been committed to providing quality, proven products and the superior customer service that you deserve. So call Permaseal today at 800-421-SEAL. Their certified consultants will perform a complete professional inspection absolutely free of charge. When the work is done, you'll have a transferable warranty along with priceless peace of mind. Call this number, 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I got another text about that Illini situation. Here's another suggestion. How about 3 days experiencing life as an ROTC student on the campus at U of I? That's a good one, too. I like that. Coming up, trying to teach Shakespeare to slack-jawed mouth breathers in America.
And Trump's tax plan, what does our friend Stephen Moore think of it? We'll ask him when he joins us at 7:37. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Sunshine, 54 degrees, and a hurricane warning issued for the central Bahamas. Tropical storm Joaquin, now a hurricane with maximum sustained winds at 75 miles an hour. A stopgap funding bill that helped topple House Speaker John Boehner because it doesn't cut Planned Parenthood money is on track for passage by Congress today, making its way to the president before a midnight deadline. U.S. military commanders are seeking a sharp departure from President Obama's existing exit plan for Afghanistan. Top military brass now want to keep thousands of American troops in Afghanistan beyond 2016. Saudi Arabia and its coalition allies say they've caught Iran smuggling missiles and other weapons to the rebels in that country on board a fishing boat bound for Yemen. The coalition battling Yemen Shiite rebels known as the Houthis fears Iran is actively providing the aid. Russian lawmakers have approved President Vladimir Putin's request to use force outside the country, presumably to back Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Montana Congressman Ryan Zinke telling Fox News this morning it will only lead to more instability.
What we're seeing is a dismantling of structure in the Middle East, an emerging of an axis, a new power that's led by Russia, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. That is not in the best interest of the United States.
The Kremlin says it will only use its air force there, not ground troops. Marco Rubio says, no, he's not trying to get into a war of words with fellow Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. saying the spat between the two isn't even something that should be part of a presidential campaign.
It shouldn't be, and it normally isn't. But like I said earlier before, it's very clear he's a very insecure person. He doesn't like to be criticized. The presidency's a tough job. You're going to be criticized, and you can't flip out every time somebody says something about you. He does.
Rubio adding Trump might be just a tad bit too sensitive. A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead after police say he shot himself at a downtown rooftop bar yesterday. Drew Peterson's murder-for-hire trial in southern Illinois postponed until early next year. And Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago's Merchandise Mart. Chicago sports, Cubs over Cincinnati 4-1. Jeff Samardzija and the White Sox beat Kansas City 4-2, and another surgery for Derrick Rose, this one on his left eye. The news, a service of Subway restaurants, something sizzling, and it's the Subway steak and cheese footlong with tender steak and melty cheese, topped with fresh veggies, all September long, just $6. Subway, eat fresh. Limited time only at participating Subway restaurants. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher has found the definitive reason why people like Donald Trump.
The NBC poll that you announced yesterday was fantastic, and you didn't talk about that.
No, I meant to. Well, I tried to.
No, I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
Why aren't you talking about your own poll? Why are you showing a CNN poll?
And the crowd goes wild. This is what they like about the guy. This is the appeal of Donald Trump.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
The Chicago Wolves season opens Saturday, October 10th against the Milwaukee Admirals, part of the Amtrak rivalry. Tickets start at $11. For more info, visit ChicagoWolves.com. Chicago Wolves, hungry for more.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure, losing the family home? You'd be not alone. See, people, we are in the aftermath of what is being revealed to have been the greatest financial crime spree in history, perpetrated by the Wall Street investment banks smuggling and packaging mortgages, and continuing this day by the mortgage servicers that service the mortgages. I'm Lou Bridges. I have a law firm I put together. We defend foreclosure actions. We help people do strategic defaults, short sales, and modifications that include restructuring. Call us for a free consultation. We'll tell you what to look for in hiring a foreclosure defense attorney. We'll tell you some of your options. We'll give you a free consultation. But whatever you do, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense law firm.
7:36, time to check the climate of your business with Air Comfort. And a check of the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start before Dempster. It's 31 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 29 to Kennedy. 38 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 43, inbound Eisenhower. 50 minutes Thorndale to the post office, 36 from Manheim, outbound 37 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 56 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Ryan is 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow, 111th to 47th and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Traffic service of UPSjobs.com, seeking seasonal tractor-trailer drivers throughout Chicagoland, especially Northbrook, Palatine, Franklin Park, and Bedford Park. Seasonal drivers will receive competitive pay and must have a commercial driver's license. Apply now at UPSjobs.com/radio. A great job and great pay in one package. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and breezy, high 62 today, clear and 50 overnight. 54 at O'Hare. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Illinois Rising, hosted by Dan Proft and the Illinois Policy Institute. Sunday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm kind of distracted by this
I know.
Carl Jr.'s ad.
Well, remember I told you there's a part of the border between Mexico and the U.S. near Yuma, where they play volleyball over the wall. And this Carl's Jr.
Do they all look like that? All the girls look like that?
God, if they did, we should have a live remote from the wall over there. But yeah, that's so Carl's Jr. has a new ad about that and talking about the volleyball games that occur.
That they would have to put that volleyball court, that big door that Trump is going to put into his wall, so we don't lose that. That music, of course, means it's time for Steve Moore, chief economist at the Heritage Foundation, transitioning to another beautiful human being, intellectually.
Yes, right.
Intellectually. Steve Moore joins us now. Hey, Steve, what's going on? Steve?
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy. How are you guys?
Hey, good. So,
by the way, it looks like I'm not the supply side. It's Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we can start there. I was going to go to jobs, so we can start with Donald Trump's plan. Mark Levin referred to it as Reagan-esque. What say you? I know you're partial to Rand Paul's plan because you had a hand in it, but what say you to Donald Trump's tax plan?
Look, I was very pleasantly surprised by this. I did, when I heard the rhetoric on 60 Minutes where he said we're going to soak the rich and we're going to, make rich people pay more taxes and give a big break to the middle class. I thought, oh my God, this sounds like, some progressive, left-wing plan. And then I looked at the details. I had given some advice to the Trump people, and I'd like to think maybe they took some of my advice. This was basically a tax rate reduction. It cuts the highest income tax rate to 25%, which would be fantastic. It eliminates the death tax. It would cut, I think one of the most important things it does is it cuts our business tax from 35%, which you and I have talked about so many times, which is the highest in the world, from 35% down to 15%. That will bring a lot of jobs back to America. Will help us compete with Mexico and China and the nations that are our competitors. So a very good plan. Not the one thing I didn't like about it, although overall I'd give it a B+. The one thing I didn't like about it is, under this plan, 70 million households would pay no income tax at all. And, I think you guys know I'm about as anti-tax as anyone, but I do think everybody should pay a little bit of tax. I don't like the idea of zeroing out people so that, they don't pay anything, because if they don't pay anything, then guess what? Government is free, and they don't have any skin in the game, and they're going to vote for more and more government because they don't have to pay for it.
However, the conservative tax group Tax Foundation came out yesterday and said Trump's plan would create $10 trillion. Well, it would add $10 trillion to the deficit. Do you buy that?
That's a big number. There is a bit of a free lunch aspect to Trump's plan. It cuts all the taxes, but where's the revenue going to come from? He does eliminate some of the loopholes, which is Reagan-esque. But look, that's a huge deficit. Now, the one thing Trump said in his press conference, which I really applauded, he said, look, we're going to cut costs of government. The government is spending way too much money. It is wasting way too much money. It is incredibly inefficient. Look, everybody agrees with Donald Trump on that. We have a $4 trillion government that is spending about, at least $1 trillion more than it has to. So, you could make up a lot of that revenue loss, Amy, in my opinion, by cutting spending. And whether Donald Trump could do that or not, that's a different question.
And what should we make? How much importance should we place on the endorsement of Carl Icahn? I know endorsements don't mean a lot and they're fleeting in the world of politics, but that's a billionaire investor who's well respected in the financial community, and so how should we treat that? He treats Trump as a serious candidate, obviously.
Did he endorse the tax plan, or did he endorse Trump personally?
I think he's endorsing Trump personally.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Look, Trump is not going away by any means. He is. I think he's going to get a bit of a bump from this tax plan, and people like myself and people like, Grover Norquist and the Wall Street Journal and others have endorsed this plan. Look, I think this is not the best tax plan because I wrote the best tax plan.
Right.
I worked for Rand Paul, and it's a flat tax that I would much prefer. But look, go back to 1986. That's the last time we really cut tax rate. And Reagan did it. He cut the rates to 15 and 28%. So two rates, 15% for the middle class, 28% for high income folks. And Reagan, got rid of a lot of the loopholes. That was done, by the way, in a bipartisan basis. You know, you have Democrats like Bill Bradley and Dick Gephardt and others who signed off on that. This is sort of what Trump is talking about. Let's do that all over again.
Well,
and hell yeah, that would be fantastic for the economy.
Well, we did have rate reductions under George W. Bush.
Yeah, but nothing like this.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
this
true.
is
Right.
very significant. I mean, it cuts the capital gains rate, zeroes out the death tax, gets the business tax down to 15%. That is so cool. I mean, we would go overnight, Dan and Amy, from having the highest corporate and business tax in the world to one of the lowest tax rates in the world. He's right. That's going to be a magnet for bringing jobs back to America. We're going to need bigger fences or something if he wants to keep the immigrants out with this tax plan.
Now, you helped author Rand Paul's flat tax plan.
Yeah.
Give me one thing that's better than Trump's.
Everybody should play by the same rules. You know, this is something Ben Carson does so well. Since you and Dan are making $1 million a year,
right.
You're going to pay
$1.5.
You're going to pay $100,000 in tax. Since I only make $50,000 a year, I'm going to pay $5,000 tax. Everybody's going to pay a uniform rate. And look, that's fair. That's efficient. It's a postcard return, so I like that a lot better. But Trump's moving us in the right direction. And by the way, now we can really see vividly the difference between the entire Republican field, because I think every Republican candidate now has talked about significantly lowering tax rates. And what are the Democrats talking about? Hillary wants to raise tax on capital gains. You know, Bernie Sanders, the new star of the day on the Democratic side, wants to raise rates to 60 and 70 and 80%, the good old days. You know, so there is a Grand Canyon-sized difference between what this Republican field of candidates wants to do and what the Democrats want to do. And that's going to be, I believe, once a Republican is finally chosen, that's going to be the number one issue, I think, of difference between these two parties.
I'll tell you what's interesting about the flat tax, Steve, too, is that in Chicago Democrat-controlled Illinois for generations, with supermajorities of Democrats in the General Assembly, we have a flat tax at the state level. So what is it they like about the flat tax at the state level in Illinois that they don't like about having a flat tax at the national level? Kind of an interesting question for the chief Chicago Democrat in charge and his brethren.
Well, except that the Democrats, at least in Springfield, based on their puppeteers, which are of course the the Illinois Teachers Union, they have been trying desperately to get rid of the flat tax. And here's why a flat tax is important. There was a big bill to try to make a progressive tax system. And the reason the left wants to get rid of the flat tax is because they desperately want to raise taxes on the millionaires and billionaires in Illinois, as if they don't pay enough tax already in Illinois. And the problem they have is if they're going to tax the millionaires and billionaires under the isn't it in the Constitution, Dan, that you have a flat tax?
Yes.
Yeah. So this annoys them because they can't just tax the rich. They would have to tax the middle class, and this is standing in the way of a big Bernie Sanders type tax increase.
Well, that's right, but it is interesting. I mean, they have supermajority, so they could potentially amend the Constitution, but they don't. They can't put it together because if you try and launch into that progressive system, there's not as much support as there is inertia behind it at the federal level. I just think the dynamic is interesting given the political landscape in D.C. versus Illinois.
I agree with you. By the way, if Illinois ever moves away from the flat tax, I think like the last person in the state turn out the lights.
Yes.
Because that'll be the last straw. Look, this is really a big development, though, folks. I mean, Donald Trump, as I said, in a bunch of interviews on Fox yesterday, who would have thought that Donald Trump was a supply sider? But he is, and it really shows that the spirit of Ronald Reagan is still so alive in the Republican Party today. Hooray!
But not on trade policy. Quick question before
you know what's going on here is these guys are listening to WIND on the radio every Wednesday. They're learning from us, guys.
Finally. Quick question, Steve, before we let you jump. ADP projecting 200,000 jobs created in September. We'll get the actual number according to labor on Friday. If the number's around 200,000, what does that say about where the economy is at present?
We're accelerating a little bit. So it looks like we've moved from about 2% growth maybe to 2.25%. That's still way too slow. The other thing is last week we didn't get a chance to talk about the Census Bureau data came out. The average family in America, this is the most killing statistic for Obama, the average middle class, working class folks have lost $1,500 of real income since Barack Obama walked into the Oval Office. How do liberals explain that? I thought they were going to help working class people.
All right, Steve Moore, Chief Economist of the Heritage Foundation. Thanks always for joining us, Steve.
All right, see you guys. Have a great week.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
We should send Stephen Moore a Trump T-shirt or maybe Make America Great Again cap.
Or a hairpiece.
Yeah. Forecast today, well, once these high clouds get out of the way, we're going to have plenty of sunshine. It will be breezy, 62 degrees. Tonight, clear, a low of 50 degrees. And Thursday, more of the same. It'll be a beautiful, crisp fall day. Plenty of sunshine, a light breeze, and 61 degrees for a high. Travel times, how's the inbound Eden shaping up? Here's Jim Talamonte.
It's taxing, Amy, between Dempster and the Junction. 36 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 29. Likely to get worse before it gets better because the inbound Kennedy is getting heavier. Now 56 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 34 from Montrose, 22 in the Express. Outbound 43 minutes to the airport. The Ike, 57 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 37. Stevenson, an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, just a 2-minute delay from LaGrange Road to 294. The Ryan is 32 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State jammed 115th to 47th and Roosevelt to Grand Avenue. Adams Tollway, slow Beverly to 53 at Elmhurst Elite. Reagan Tollway, all bottled up. Randall to Eola. Raymond to Naperville Road, and then York to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial. Slow Boughton most of the way to St. Charles, and then Army Trail to 290. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Believe me.
I know you want to work with a Chicagoland real estate agent with qualified buyers who can guarantee to sell your home. That's why you should call Saul Z and the Z Team. The average agent sells 8 homes a year. As a top agent with great marketing, Saul averaged over 300. If 29 days pass without a sale on your listing, Saul will buy it. And working with Saul won't obligate you to anything. If you aren't happy, you just cancel the contract. For example, Jason has Hinsdale home on the market for 10 months with another agent. He switched the listing to Saul, and in a very short time, the home sold for $806,000, a full $37,000 above the original list price. That's why the Wall Street Journal ranks Saul among the top 250 agents in the country. I know I'll be calling Saul when I'm ready to sell or buy a home, so go to callsaul.net. That's callsaul, SAUL.net, to find out what your home's worth, or call Saul directly at 888-346-0666. That number again, 888-346-0666, and start packing.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep REM sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry MyPillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
To get your 2 MyPillows for the price of one, call 800-489-0201, and please use the promo code Amy. Or you can go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code Amy. That's 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Either way, don't forget the promo code AMY.
This is Dan Proft with an Upstream idea, brought to you in part by the Illinois Policy Institute. 6,963. Illinois has 6,963 local units of government, meaning 6,963 taxing bodies, more than any other state in the nation, and it's not even close. Texas has the second most units of government with twice the population of Illinois, but with 25% fewer taxing bodies. So when politicians tell you that Illinois state income tax is about the middle of the pack nationally, they're characteristically not telling you the whole story. What they don't tell you is that you pay the highest real estate taxes in the country, something you may have guessed from a perusal of the number of taxing bodies listed on your property tax bill. The challenge in Illinois is not simply to reduce tax rates, but to reduce the number of taxing bodies. Most of the taxing bodies take a small cut that goes largely unnoticed, which goes to serve a concentrated minority interest of politicians and taxpayers, trumping the diffuse interests of the majority. And so the actual elimination of a layer of government is exceedingly rare. For more ideas like this, visit upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
So, Amy, Donald is impressing, and notice I'm not even calling him Sideshow Donald right now because of his conventional supply-side economic plan or tax plan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's impressing some rank-and-file economic conservatives with his tax plan. He's also apparently impressing some religious leaders who met with Donald Trump yesterday, prayed with him. About 40 religious leaders and pastors met him at Trump Tower.
Did they sing an offertory hymn and pass around a basket?
I don't know about that.
Because he'd be the one to get some cash from. I'm just saying.
Potentially.
I don't mean to be sinister.
You had some televangelists, an evangelical Christian pastor, David Jeremiah, some broadcasters, Jews for Jesus, Rabbi Kurt Schneider, Pastor Daryl Scott from CBN. And
was Bill Hybel there from Willow Creek?
Not listed. I don't know if he was among the 40. But Daryl Scott, Pastor Daryl Scott, said, I think Trump changed the opinions of the African-American pastors that were in the room. They saw a side of him outside of the media depiction, and that they would give strong consideration in regards to supporting his candidacy. So perhaps making inroads on the economic front as well as the spiritual front is Sideshow Donald.
And on the foreign policy front, he said yesterday he doesn't have a problem with Russia's military buildup in Syria, and that he thinks that if Russia wants to help Syria and Assad, let them take care of it.
Well, that's what he said on 60 Minutes. He wants to outsource it to Putin and we'll pick up the pieces after that plays out. That's one approach. Sean from Elmwood Park.
It's funny, these details that are attracting so many are why I'm stopping my support for him. For instance, if we cannot as a nation understand that a progressive tax is not only the cornerstone of all tyranny, of all Marxism, of all socialism. It, in essence, is saying because you're good at something, you are entitled to less rights. And that the only thing that embodies America is a flat, blind system. That you're placating to certain people. And I don't expect people to have a shrine to Hayek or to understand that Adam Smith's invisible hand isn't about the velocity of money solely, but the nature of man. But when you limit and when you have tariffs, we have evidence. You create Hoover Towns and you have the Weimar Republic. This notion of what he's speaking of economically is extremely dangerous.
So are you migrating over to Rand Paul?
I have always been a Ted Cruz supporter. I've said that over the course of months. My support for Donald Trump, and still, I will say this, far better than John Kasich, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, Rand Paul, who really looks like someone broke into an erectile dysfunction support group. I think he can do far better than those buffoons. But
thank you. We're going to have to leave it at erectile dysfunction, Sean.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're in the red zone of retirement, and by that we mean those very critical savings years just before you retire, you really need to talk to Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates. You see, it's vitally important to squeeze the most growth from those last critical years, but you have to remain vigilant against undue risk. Tabota & Associates has a blueprint to help you do this very thing. They put this into practice for many of their clients. You see, if you have this specialized knowledge and the right tools, it's possible to stay in the market where the best growth opportunities are, while still maintaining a conservative approach with your retirement dollars. Get across the desk from a professional retirement planner, Jack Tabota of Tabota & Associates, to make the most of your time in the red zone of retirement. Let Jack show you how. 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. Investment advisory services offered through Global Financial Private Capital, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Perfect timing for this read.
Yeah, heads up, Rand Paul. Hi, it's Dan Proft. Gents, when it comes to your health, do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol, but do you know your testosterone? I do, because I went to Low T Center, and Low T Center makes it easy to get that number. You walk in, you take a simple blood test, and you know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40 and have noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff, and I dealt with Brian at the facility in Burr Ridge, very nice gentleman.
What are the numbers? Care to share?
I'm good.
Or is that...
I'm good.
I'm sorry.
Going strong. 43 and still going strong.
Thank you.
Low T Center's experienced medical staff like Brian in Burr Ridge, if I can Start again. We'll educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for results, and services are covered by most health insurance. They even have convenient, flexible hours. So do yourself a favor and get your levels checked. My prostate number is also good, since you asked.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
I could sleep
it's
better
a violation
tonight.
of HIPAA laws. Call 630-409-4305. That's 630-409-4305. Or go to lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Prof sent you.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
Your product is terrific. I feel great. More energy. I've lost some weight. I can think clearer and faster. Everything that he said, Dr. Howard says it does on the program, it does, and then some. Boy, oh boy, I feel terrific. Nothing compares with this. Honestly, I know people always say this in testimonials, but this is the God's honest truth. I feel like a man 20 years younger.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, 2 Chicago cops who were hailed as heroes might be in trouble this morning. We'll explain.
And the Punditocracy's version of Salt and Pepper, Diamond and Silk. Pundit extraordinaires join us at 8:18.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a man sought for questioning in a Lake County killing has been found dead. Cubs cut down the Reds, and the White Sox sunk the Royals last night. On a sunny and breezy day, WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. People on the East Coast should keep an eye on a hurricane. Joaquin could be headed that way. Fox News Radio's Evan Brown tracking the storm live in Miami.
Dave, a hurricane hunter plane found Joaquin to have 75-mile-an-hour winds. The storm is making a run towards the Bahamas, where warnings are already posted.
It's way too soon to say what, if any, impacts Joaquin will have on the United States.
Even though, says Dennis Feltgen at the National Hurricane Center, the extended forecast shows a path towards the New Jersey coast, but all of that could change. For now,
make sure you got your hurricane supplies, and that's all they need to be doing right now. Nothing more, nothing less.
And keep checking its track, Dave.
Evan, Russian warplanes aren't just flying over Syria, they're bombing. A U.S. military official tells Fox News the Russians have started airstrikes attacking Syrian rebels. Russia had given the U.S. a heads up, requesting American warplanes leave, but the U.S. is not complying, continuing airstrikes targeting ISIS.
40 years we've kept Russia out of the Middle East, and this president now let them back in. They're teaming with Iran.
Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie. President Obama met with President Putin 2 days ago, reiterating the U.S. wants the Assad regime, the Russian support, ousted. Does Pope Francis support Kim Davis, the Kentucky county clerk jailed for not giving out gay marriage licenses? Fox News Radio's Tanya J. Powers live on a reported meeting.
Dave, her lawyer says he does, and a statement by Liberty Counsel, a religious freedom group, claims the Pope met privately with Kim Davis and her husband last week while he was in Washington, D.C. The statement also says he told her to stay strong and embraced her. The Vatican neither confirms nor denies a meeting took place. Davis was in Washington for the Values Voters Summit, where she was given an award by the Family Research Council for defying the federal judge, Dave.
Tanya, she cried, apologized, then sang Amazing Grace as she died. Kelly Gissendanner got a lethal injection shortly after midnight. She conspired with her lover to murder her husband. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sun, 54 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A man wanted for questioning in the death of a Lake County woman himself is dead. After police say he shot himself in Chicago, Leo Amin of Crystal Lake was found with a gunshot wound to the head yesterday at a downtown Chicago rooftop bar. Authorities have been looking for him after the body of Deanna Seymour was discovered in Grays Lake. An eruption of gun violence in Chicago Monday, drawing angry responses from Mayor Emanuel and his top police official, Gary McCarthy.
Way too many guns on the streets of the city of Chicago with too little values and the penalties that don't match the values of the city of Chicago.
And Superintendent McCarthy also called for changes in the justice system.
Until such time that they're held accountable, we could make 1 billion gun arrests a year, and it's not going to make a difference.
Over a 15-hour period, 6 were shot to death, including a pregnant mother and a grandmother. Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago. Chicago Tribune reporting Rauner has offered the company tax incentives to move its headquarters from Omaha to the Merchandise Mart. And a suburban Chicago garden with a disappointing rainforest plant that refused to bloom has a new star this morning. The Chicago Botanic Garden announcing that a second corpse flower is not only on display at its semi-tropical greenhouse, but it's blooming. Garden plans to stay open until 2 a.m. Wednesday, so visitors can experience, or Thursday, to experience that flower's famous stench. And the garden is live streaming the Titan Arum plant on its website. This one has a name, too. It's Alice. Cubs over Cincinnati. White Sox beat Kansas City. The news a service of the Exergen temporal scanner thermometer. When buying a thermometer, trust over 50 published studies supporting the accuracy of the Exergen temporal scanner. Your family deserves the best. The Exergen temporal scanner thermometer. Pick one up at Walgreens or other fine retailers today. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Pat O'Neill.
From the Fox Business Network, Wall Street seems headed for a strong opening. Stock futures are sharply higher after big gains overseas. Asian stocks got a lift from an optimistic report on Chinese consumer sentiment, and the moods carried over into Europe. A few Fed members will give speeches today, which could give us some hints about the timing of an interest rate hike. The next 2 days could decide the fate of a new 4-year contract between Fiat Chrysler and the UAW. In early voting, workers at several factories rejected the deal, but those at the Warren, Michigan pickup plant voted for it. Results will soon be tallied for all plants. The contract could be a template for talks with GM and Ford. Now that you've mastered getting your tweets down to 140 characters, you may soon have more leeway. The Wall Street Journal says Twitter's thinking about extending the limit. The question is how many characters it would add and how it would look, a decision that could alter the basic Twitter experience. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Pat O'Neill.
8:05 in Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
She's bold.
You're not black, so drop the racism crap.
She's controversial.
When you bring the people here, you bring those cultures here.
She's unapologetic.
This is a total fraud and a fig leaf.
And she's coming to Freedom Summit Chicago 2015. She's Ann Coulter.
Now I'm talking.
See best-selling author and conservative firebrand Ann Coulter live on Saturday, November 14th at Freedom Summit Chicago in Itasca. Get your tickets now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
True or false? Huntington Learning Center franchise owners earn revenues 61% higher than their closest competitor.
True!
True or false? You can start a Huntington franchise for under $100,000.
True!
True or false? Huntington is a respected national tutoring and test prep leader with almost 4 decades of proven results.
True!
It's true. Opening a Huntington Learning Center franchise is the perfect opportunity to run a business that's both personally and financially rewarding. No previous educational experience required. Our model is simple. We provide you with our winning formula for student success, in-house financing, and ongoing support. You help students from K through 12 achieve outstanding academic results. And in turn, you score phenomenal financial returns. If you're passionate about making a difference and dream of owning a successful business, call 855-823-0000 or visit huntingtonfranchise.com to join the nation's top earning tutoring and test prep franchise. That's 855-823-0000.
8:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Telemonti.
Thanks, Mike. In Hinsdale, northbound 83 has delays approaching 55th with a crash in the right lane. Inbound Eden's delays start past Devon. 33 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 58 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 43. The Eisenhower, an hour and 3 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound it's 40 minutes. Inbound Stevenson, an hour from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36 minutes. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 28 minutes from I-80 to the merge. Tri-State southbound, so 120 to 137. Northbound, it is stop and go from 115th to 47th. Roosevelt to Grant, and from the Bensonville Bridge to Irving Park with a southbound crash. Adams Tollway, slow Beverly to 53 and Elmhurst to Lee. Reagan Tollway, delays of Randall to Eola, Raymond to Mill, and York to the Tri-State. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, mostly sunny and breezy, high 62. Clear tonight, low 50, then breezy tomorrow with a full day of sunshine, high of 61. Clear and breezy tomorrow night with a low of 49. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
54 at O'Hare, 57 in sunshine along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Live with Andrew Holmes. Get honest answers to your questions every Sunday at 12 noon.
Good morning. Welcome to your Wednesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Now to that showdown on Capitol Hill today, the head of Planned Parenthood facing questions for hours, grilled by lawmakers after those undercover videos recorded by anti-abortion activists of Planned Parenthood employees.
Do you profit or make money on abortion services?
What this is really all about, plain and simple, money and politics.
Now to the race for 2016, and tonight it is Bill Clinton versus Donald Trump. The former president is back amid his wife's slumping poll numbers. We started to hear from him this weekend, and tonight he's now coming out swinging, defending his wife and going further.
You shouldn't be able to insult your way to the White House.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. So 2 bullets knock out 3 generations of a family in just a few minutes. And what do we get from Tiny Dancer and his marionette, Gary McCarthy? More faux outrage.
Oh, yeah, them blaming the guns.
Pretend anger.
Yeah, blaming the guns instead of the person holding the gun, saying that we need to get these guns off the streets. Gary McCarthy late last night, throwing his hands up in the air, Dan. He's had enough. He said this is just another version of the movie Groundhog Day.
Time and time again, it's the same pattern over and over again, until such time that they're held accountable. We could make 1 billion gun arrests a year, and it's not going to make a difference.
Well, if he's given up, then he should leave. And here's what I don't understand. 5 years in, if this is just about guns, I'm going to start from their premise. If it's just about guns. So just some stats. This is from HeyJackass.com, which is the website of record on violent crime in Chicago, as far as I'm concerned. So far this year, 2015, we have more murders now than we did in 2012. You know, one of the most violent years in the last couple of generations in Chicago. And then there was some reduction over the subsequent couple of years, so Rahm Emanuel could pretend that crime was going down, and he had violent crime on the wane in Chicago during his reelection campaign. Well, now we have more murders as of the end of September than we did in 2012. And here's something else that's interesting. About 95% of the murder victims, Black, Latino. In fact, 79% Black. Of the assailants, those that have been arrested for the murders, it is about 85% Black or Latino. So to the point of it being largely gang-related internecine warfare. But importantly, when it comes to assailants, only about 1/3 of the murder cases have been cleared. And we've talked to Pat Camden on the show before. Historically, at least over the last several years, Chicago police clear about 25% of murder cases. That's not a very high percentage. Maybe it has something to do not with just arresting people for with guns, but actually clearing murder cases so people know if you commit a murder, number one, you're going to be caught, and then number two, we're never going to see you again because you're going to be in prison for the rest of your life. That's not happening. But let's start from the premise, now that we have a little bit of background with the numbers and the distribution. Apparently, minority lives don't matter to Rahm Emanuel and Gary McCarthy in the city of Chicago. Apparently, they don't.
They have nothing else to do. They can't take accountability for themselves. They said, Gary McCarthy saying, I've taken people off the streets. The system fails them because they come right back out on the streets.
Yeah, this is the whole take it to the alley approach, bumps in the road. There's always an excuse with these guys. It gets a little tiresome to me, especially when I walk down Michigan Avenue, not far from my neighborhood, and I see groups of police on every other street corner on Michigan Avenue standing around talking to one another. Now, I'm not blaming Chicago police. They've obviously been deployed there by the leadership of the city and the police department
to stop flash mobs and smash and grabs.
Yeah. Number one, and this, by the way, in addition to the fact, the story out this week, $100 million in police overtime this year, blew the budget on police overtime. So there are resources. Perhaps there should be more resources devoted to policing, because that's the first responsibility of government. Unless you don't care about these lives, unless it doesn't matter if black kids get killed in Austin or Inglewood or Hispanic kids in a little village or Pilsen. If it doesn't matter, that's fine. Why don't you just say it so that we can have an honest conversation? So let's start from this premise of Gary McCarthy bitching about guns again, because that's all he's got, because he's a hack and a politician, not a peace officer. Let's start from there. 5 years in, you're saying you have made no progress because the numbers say you have made no progress. So if after 5 years, there's no demonstrable progress in making Chicago a safer city in these shooting galleries, and you go to heyjackass.com, you've got all the numbers by neighborhood, then perhaps it's time to get somebody that may want to take a different approach. Perhaps it's time to rethink what is going on and who is leading this charge, to the extent a charge is discernible against violent crime in the city.
Well, our politicians only seem to gather when young victims are involved. In this case, an 11-month-old who was waking up yesterday in the hospital, and he was asking for his mom. Well, his mom's not coming back, nor is his grandmother coming back because they were shot. They also gathered, and talked to the media because they're so angry that this happened again, and the victims are so small because in another shooting 2 days ago, a 2-year-old was shot. So that's why that's the only time that they talk to the media about the shootings, when innocent young children, people, in diapers are involved, then they care.
You have to have a murder that shocks people's conscience, like this multiple murder that occurred a couple of nights ago.
Which, by the way, police say it was gang-related, probably black on black crime. They're innocent victims. They're not gang members of people who were shot.
So so they'll feign outrage, McCarthy and Rahm, for a couple of days, and then it'll go away. And then they'll get back to figuring out which taxes they want to raise and which sports stadiums they want to finance for DePaul and all of this other nonsense. What to do about making Navy Pier more appealing to tourists.
We need a bigger Ferris wheel.
Against this backdrop, too, it's worth noting the FBI released its national crime statistics for 2014 this week, and violent crime fell again across the nation last year, except in major urban centers like Chicago, and Chicago in particular relative to other major urban centers, where we have a higher murder rate per capita than New York and L.A. combined. New York and L.A. have gangs. They have gangs.
They do.
Something else going on here. But I'm not saying that anybody should care about it, particularly white liberals. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying they should continue to pretend to care about it the same way that the white liberals, Gary McCarthy and Tiny Dancer, pretend to care about it. Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning. Anybody who's read some of the John Lott stuff, their eyes get open, because what people are fooled by some of the FBI statistics, because the crime statistics, folks that get murdered by other people, like gang members that they know, those aren't listed as kind of like random crimes or things like that. They're listed as murders by people of who are known by the victims. Well, big deal. It doesn't mean like your Uncle Pugsley walked in and capped a bunch of people in his house. It's I know somebody out on the street who's of a rival gang, and therefore I shoot at that person. I don't care if other people get shot. 2-year-old diapers, who cares, all right? Because all I'm doing is I'm trying to shoot at the gang member. I know him. And it skews people's understanding of what's really going on out there. And I also think that the media is complicit, because what they do is they talk about the baby that got shot, the women that got shot. What they don't tell you is that they're riding around in vehicles or standing around with known gang members. It puts the community at risk because these cockroaches aren't stamped out.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for the call, Ralph. The other thing, though, to remember when we talk about guns and we talk about these neighborhoods, that is often forgotten the way this is covered, because we're saying Inglewood is dangerous and Austin is dangerous. And yeah, they are dangerous neighborhoods. But the majority of people who live in those neighborhoods are law-abiding people who live in dangerous neighborhoods. And do they deserve police protection or not? I mean, yes. I just want to know.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem like they do. It just doesn't seem like they do, based on the numbers. I mean, I don't know where the body count has to get to conclude that what we're doing is not insufficient in terms of living up to the first responsibility of government. Don in Bloomingdale.
Hey, guys, there's a direct correlation between the murders, the gang wars, and the heroin use in the state of Illinois and Chicago in particular. The point of entry of heroin in the United States is Chicago Airport, and this is a direct result of that. And somebody's got to know it's coming in. Somebody's making some money, and somebody's allowing it. And it goes to the west side. That's where it's distributed, and that's where the wars are taking place, and people are dying, and no one seems to care.
Thanks for the call, Don. I mean, one of the things I would say is this is very much like when you talk about a CPS or K-12 education in general. If this is a resource issue, tell me what the number is. I want to know what the number is. What resources do you need to stamp this out? And we never get an answer. It's just always more, and the more is funneled into the same way of trying to address problems that they were addressing that is failing. And there's nothing so obvious about Tiny Dancer's 5 years as mayor of Chicago than the word failing.
I own that. It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, move over Salt and Pepper. We have Diamond and Silk. They'll be joining us. But first, here's our forecast. Mostly sunny today, breezy, a high of 62 degrees. Tonight, clear, a low of 50. And Thursday and Friday both look the same. We're going to have plenty of sunshine both days, a light breeze, and highs in the low 60s. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Eastbound Eden Spur, heavy approaching the Edens, and the Edens itself really jammed from Devon to the junction. It's 41 minutes like Cook to Montrose, outbound just 21. The Kennedy is 58 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 43. The Eisenhower, an hour and 8 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 40 minutes. Stevenson, just over an hour, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36 minutes. Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound slow from the Adams Tollway to Irving Park with a crash in the two left lanes. Northbound jammed 111th to Ogden, and from the Reagan Tollway most of the way to Irving Park. Adams Tollway delays, Bartlett to Meacham and Elmhurst to Lee. Reagan Tollway still pretty slow, with delays from Randall to Eola and Raymond to Mill. Northbound Veterans Memorial slow out into the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
AM 560, The Answer. We have a new mobile app, and if you download it or upgrade your mobile app from between now and December 9th, you could win a free trip to beautiful Cancun, Mexico. Our friends at Apple Vacations put this together. It's an all-inclusive trip to the Secrets the Vine, and to get the app for your mobile device so you can register to win the trip. Again, you have from now until October 9th to do so. Go to 560theanswer.com/mobile. That's 560theanswer.com/mobile and download Paradise. It's available for both Apple and Android-powered devices, presented by Permaseal Basement Systems.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free consultation so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Individual results may vary. Call 1-800-488-7959. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 10% off your all-laser LASIK procedure. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free consultation, call 1-800-488-7959. 1-800-488-7959.
You own a European auto because you love the way it feels, the way it handles when you make a turn, or when you step on the gas. Style and performance. It's not a car. You own a special engineering work of art. For maintenance and repair, go to a place that loves your car as much as you do. This is Dan Proft for Midwest Performance Cars. They have a saying, dealerships replace parts, we fix cars. Midwest Performance Cars has all the services of a dealer but with more care and less money. They know your car and love it as much as you do. Midwest Performance Cars specializes in repairs and maintenance of European autos, including Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and Land Rover. How good are they? Go ahead, read the Google and Yelp reviews. Ask your friends. Partner with Midwest Performance Cars for the repair and long-term maintenance of your European auto. Located in Chicago's West Loop at the corner of Lake and Ogden. Free Lyft and Uber shuttle service because you want convenience. MidwestPerformanceCars.com. That website, MidwestPerformanceCars.com. The dealer alternative. An expert source for European auto maintenance and repair.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, and we are now joined by the Ashford and Simpson of the punditocracy, the always entertaining, the hosts of The Viewer's View, Diamond and Silk. Diamond and Silk, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having us.
So, got to ask you right away, big news from Donald Trump, and you're big fans of Mr. Trump, his tax plan, and specifically exempting people basically making under $50,000 from paying federal income tax. What did you think about that?
I think the plan was phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's a win-win for all Americans. And what I love about it is he didn't leave anybody behind. So I love it.
What do you mean he didn't leave anybody behind?
No, everybody got a deal, got a cut out of this here. You know, everybody, even the rich, you know, they don't have to pay high taxes anymore. So I absolutely love it. No one got left behind, and I like that.
And what do you think of Donald Trump? He called Hillary shrill, and Bill Clinton took exception to his wife being called shrill. How did you react to that?
Well, listen, I don't pay any attention to the Clintons. They have a lot of skeletons in their closet, and they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do to clean that up. We're totally looking at Donald Trump and how he wants to lead this country. You know, and what we want people to do now is go to ditchandswitch.com to start going ahead, ditchandswitchnow.com, and start going ahead, switching their party to Republicans so that we can vote for Donald Trump in the primary.
Did you say ditchthiswitch.com?
Ditch and switch.
Oh, ditch and switch. Excuse me. I'm sorry, dears.
Okay, you can have that website, Amy.
Diamond and Silk, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here. You got to be honest with me. You never liked President Bill Clinton?
Listen, it's not that I never liked President Bill Clinton. I just don't want another Clinton in the White House. As a matter of fact, I don't want another Democrat in the White House. Listen, people don't want no Obama phone. They want a job. People don't need a welfare check. They want a paycheck from a good job. So I'm looking at somebody that's going to bring jobs back to this country where people are thriving again. And that's why we stuck for Trump, baby. And that's why we switched our party to vote for him in the primary.
But Bill Clinton called your guy fact-free. Get it? Fat-free, fact-free, that he's of no substance?
Listen, Bill Clinton is no substance. Why are we even talking about Bill Clinton? His time has already passed. It's time for him and his wife to go home, rock that precious grandbaby of theirs, and get out of the limelight, okay? Let somebody go ahead and clean up this country. Listen, this country needs an economic overhaul, okay? So because we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul. So we need a businessman to come in and clean all of this up, baby. And that's why we stuck for Trump. And if you go to ditchandswitchnow.com, you can go ahead and switch your party to change it to Republican so you can vote for him in the primary.
Yeah, baby. So Dr. Ben Carson, what do you think of Dr. Ben Carson? Even Kanye West said Dr. Ben Carson is a brilliant guy.
Well, we really respect Dr. Ben Carson, but listen, he's not coming up with anything when it comes to business or anything when it comes to bringing jobs back to this country. Well, the reason why he never come up with anything because we never hear anything because he's so soft-spoken. Listen, I don't want another president that speaks so soft that we don't understand what he's saying. I need somebody that speaks volumes. When they speak, you listen. And that's why we stuck for Trump, baby.
Do you think the media has been fair to Donald Trump?
No, I think the media has been biased to Donald Trump. But I'm so happy that the American people see the trickery, you know, and we're standing behind him. See straight through it.
Now, besides his new gradual tax plan, is there anything you care to hear about from Donald Trump with more substance, maybe education policy plan, or how he's going to deport 12 million people?
Well, listen, when it comes to education, he do need to speak about that. You know, you have people, they go to college, they get education because it's been pushed. You need to have an education, and true, you need to have an education. But why is it that after you get the education, you have so much in debt to pay for, and then when you get a job, your job you only making minimum wage?
We're talking to Diamond and Silk, obviously. Hosts of The Viewer's View and the website ditchandswitch.com. Ditchandswitch.com.
I'm logging on now.
Rhythmic for you Democrats, so you can vote in that Republican primary. And according to Diamond and Silk, you better vote for Donald Trump or they're going to find you. So Diamond and Silk, what do you make of Donald Trump, speaking of immigration, which has been kind of the issue that has buoyed his campaign, him talking about how he's going to essentially round up persons that are here illegally, but he's going to do it very nicely?
Well, I believe that he will do it nicely and respectfully. Listen, we have a border that's unsecure, and nobody seems to be concerned about that. Our border has to be secure. It has to be secure. Would you take and leave your house open, Dan, all night long and let anybody run amok up in it? No.
No, ma'am.
Secure your house. So why is an American house being secured? Why? Why is it that the White House is secure and behind a pretty fence, but the American house is not secure? Right. So we have to secure that border. And listen, if you want to be part of America and you want to be part of the American dream, then be American. Come here legally. So I think he's going to find a clever way to do it. So we're not worried about it. We know he's going to get it done.
Have you guys ladies, excuse me, let me try that again. I'll try and speak English to you. Have you come face to face yet with Donald Trump?
We've never met Donald Trump.
Really? Wait, don't you think you should know? You should.
Well, listen, if I meet him, I meet him. If I don't, it's still fine. Here's the deal. We need somebody in here to turn this country around. Right. He has shook awake America. Yes. He got me looking at him, girl. And listen, we stop for Trump. And what we want people to do is go to ditchandswitchnow.com and go ahead and change your party so that you can vote for him in the primary. Yes. Change it to Republican. Change it to Republican.
Diamond and especially Silk. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Ditchandswitch.com. Diamond and Silk. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. Yes, the 31-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. But I'm not here to talk about payroll today.
No, but I am. Hi, I'm Alice Bannock, chef and co-owner with my husband Terry of Rockin' Ribs in Lake Zurich. We're located on the southwest corner of routes 12 and 22, and Precision Payroll is fantastic. The people are great, the service is excellent, and for all they do for what I pay is amazing. Precision Payroll has a great recipe and delivers an outstanding service.
Thanks, Alice. And I'm here to tell the listeners what a great place you have. I love barbecue, and I love my new client, Rockin' Ribs. I've had the opportunity to try everything, and your recipes are unique and delicious. If you like barbecue and great music, you have to go to Rockin' Ribs in Lake Zurich and let them know you heard them on AM 560.
And for great payroll services, call Tom at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507.
Come join us.
Got a great night's sleep. Slept through the night, all thanks to MyPillow from MyPillow. It conforms to your neck and back. It helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies. Plus, it's washable. It keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. American Made, the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. So if you've been putting it off, don't wait any longer. It is so important to get a great night's sleep. Go to MyPillow.com and type in Amy for the 2-for-1 deal. It's not going to last forever, folks. So MyPillow.com, promo code Amy. 2 pillows for the price of 1. Or you could call the 800 number, 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's ditchandswitchnow.com.
Now.
I'm going to that website. I don't want to get on the wrong side of Diamond and Silk. Coming up at 8:38, why a lot of high schools are ditching football.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Clouds and sun, 55 degrees. A temporary funding measure to keep the government open past midnight tonight should make its way to the president before the deadline. The House and Senate are set to vote on the stopgap measure today. Joaquin has now strengthened to a hurricane as it moves closer to the Bahamas. National Hurricane Center says Joaquin's maximum sustained winds are over 75 miles an hour and are expected to strengthen. More U.S. airstrikes have pounded the area around Kunduz in northern Afghanistan as troops there take positions for likely what's to be a major battle to retake parts of that city from the Taliban. Tensions on the rise in the skies over Syria as American and Russian warplanes fight against ISIS. The latest from Fox News Radio's Jessica Gulliher.
A senior U.S. official tells Fox News that Russian officials have demanded U.S. warplanes exit Syria immediately, saying the Kremlin's aircraft are now airborne over the country. But the U.S. will not comply, and a separate defense official says there is nothing to indicate Washington is changing operations in Syria. This is Russian lawmakers voted unanimously to let President Vladimir Putin send troops to Syria, but the Kremlin maintains it will only use its air force there, not ground troops. In the Mideast Bureau, Jessica Gulliher, Fox News Radio.
A man wanted for questioning in the killing of a Lake County woman is dead. Police say he shot himself in Chicago. Leo Amin of Crystal Lake was found with a gunshot wound to the head yesterday at a downtown rooftop bar. Mayor Emanuel and the head of his police department expressing outrage over a burst of gun violence this week. Over a 15-hour period, 6 were shot to death, including a pregnant mother and grandmother. And Governor Rauner may be trying to lure packaged food giant ConAgra to Chicago. The Tribune says Rauner has offered the company tax incentives to move its headquarters from Omaha to the city's merchandise mart. Cubs beat Cincinnati. White Sox top KC. Derrick Rose with surgery on an orbital bone near his left eye. And the news, a service of UPSJobs.com. Seeking part-time package handlers throughout Chicagoland, especially in Northbrook, Palatine, Franklin Park, and Bedford Park. Package handlers can graduate debt-free with up to $25,000 in education assistance. Apply now at upsjobs.com/radio. Get there with UPS. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher exposes another double standard.
Any way you slice it, there is a real lack of accountability here with the Black Lives Matter movement. There are people who should be held accountable for the deaths of police officers. If somebody as heinous as a cop killer was an activist with the Tea Party movement, you think that might get some attention from the news media?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-959-9644.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-959-9644. That's 1-800-959-9644. 1-800-959-9644.
8:36 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start past Devon. 41 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 21. The Kennedy, 58 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. 33 from Montrose. 22 in the Express. Outbound 35 minutes to the airport. The inbound hike, an hour and 5 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 37 minutes. The Stevenson, 54 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound fine. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, southbound slow Lawrence to Fullerton, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tri-State southbound stop and go. The Adams Tollway to Irving Park with a crash now on the left shoulder. Northbound delays, 115th to Ogden, Reagan Tollway most of the way to Irving Park. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow Bartlett to Meacham and Elmhurst to Lee. Reagan Tollway delays, Randall to Eola, Veterans Memorial, Boughton to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and breezy today, 62. A low of 50 overnight. 55 at O'Hare, 45 in Aurora. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Market Overdrive with Carla Mina. 2 power hours of real estate trends, secrets, and advice heard every Saturday from 1 to 3 p.m.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. So you are the mother of Peyton and Eli Jacobson, named for the Manning brothers.
Of course.
Right.
So wait, who's older? Is Peyton's older, right? Peyton's the older one?
Peyton is older.
Yeah. So it's Peyton Eli. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so, given that, are you going to allow them to play high school football?
That's a hard question.
Do they play football now? They're old enough, right?
Yeah, well, actually, they offer flag football at Blaine, and then you can play, with pads and helmet and all that at Wells Park or at Winnemac Park. But my oldest son, he doesn't want to play football, and I'm trying to make the best defensive lineman.
Is that because you gave him an easy bake oven as a child?
Thank you, Dan. Had to bring that up again. No, he doesn't want to play football, and he's a big kid. I mean, I want my blindside moment, But the cash that comes with it too. I mean,
You have
he's
to adopt
huge.
a big black child if you want your blindside moment. I don't know if you
He's,
remember the story, but
he's just turned 11. He's 5'5" and 130 pounds. He's a big kid, and he has a size 12 shoe. So
Yeah,
I mean,
so he
he's
could
going to
play.
he's going to be big. But he doesn't want to play. But my other one wants to play, and I'm just going to wait until later. I'm going to wait until high school. If he wants to play when he's in high school, yes, but not this little leagues that they call it.
Well, so our mutual friend John Cass, the Chicago Tribune, has long predicted the ultimate demise of football because parents aren't going to let their kids play football because of the concussion risk and all of the associated lingering injuries, mostly for people that play, well into the pro level, which is an infinitesimal fraction. But nonetheless, they
3 high schoolers have died so far this year, and we're not even into October. I mean, one in the latest one was in New Jersey, and they found out that his spleen was enlarged because he might have had mono, and he got a hard hit on Friday, got up, gave the crowd a thumbs up, and then died. So he was the third one to die.
I understand, and it's tragic, but, you see this happen in sports. I mean, look at Hank Gathers dying on the court, Reggie Lewis dying on the court. I mean, it happens when you go have undetected, ailments, heart ailments, conditions.
His mom didn't even know, the kid that died in New Jersey, that he had mono. She just thought he had the flu.
Well, on the flip side of this, you've got a reality show on the Oxygen Network, which I watch religiously.
Oh, yes, that's your must-see.
As a middle-aged woman, I watch that routinely. And
after reruns of Oprah or before?
Yeah, exactly. Oprah and all those Lifetime movies with starring Meredith Baxter Birney. There is a reality show called Pretty Strong featuring women football players.
Is this the lingerie?
I hope so. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. I was hoping that I'm glad we're on the same page on that, and I'm also a bit disturbed.
Yes.
But this is so. I mean, I guess are women becoming tougher than men? Are we going to have women play high school football and men are going to be the cheerleaders? I'm not sure. I know there's a lot of gender role confusion, mix up these days, but a lot of parents are preventing their children from playing football. This is starting to happen with more frequency. A story in the New York Times yesterday. Students and families at Maplewood Richmond Heights High School, this is in Missouri, a St. Louis suburb, disbanded the high school's football team this past June, even though it reached the state championship game 5 years ago.
Wow.
So this is a good program, right?
Yeah.
A decade ago, such a move would have been radical, but concerns about football players' safety and soccer and other sports are gaining popularity. Now, interestingly, the highest incidence of concussion?
Soccer. Yeah.
Right.
312-642-5600. My friend's son goes to New Trier, and they have to play offense and defense because they don't have many players. And that's the only way they can sustain the team.
And this is what happened with this championship program. It wasn't that the school made this unilateral decision despite it being popular. They didn't have enough kids to field a team.
Yeah. That
so,
happens.
I mean, you have a $10 billion annual industry that is at the NFL. You've got DraftKings and FanDuel. These are billion-dollar market cap companies because of the popularity of fantasy football. You've got the Women's Lingerie League, which is very popular in certain
It
quarters.
has a new name now, by the way. I'll figure it out.
Well,
I'll get back to you on that.
I'm just describing it, not necessarily the name.
Those were competitive games. I went to one.
I understand. Season ticket holder over here. 50-yard line.
Yeah, sure. I'll be your water boy.
Yeah.
Does anybody need help with their uniforms?
However I can help, because I'm a fan of the game. But
yeah, it's all about first and goal. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so you think about the great high school football programs. High school football is,
it's a
hugely
staple.
popular in Illinois. I mean, Texas is a whole other thing. But even in Illinois, hugely popular. Great programs in Hinsdale, Wheaton, Warrenville South, the Catholic League with Providence and Mount Carmel. So is this all going to go away? Not necessarily this generation, but maybe a generation or two from now, we're not going to have American football anymore because everybody's going to be playing soccer, or the American football teams will be all girls?
It could happen. I mean, I would be so depressed because I absolutely love football.
50. I mean, you think about it.
Or maybe they'll just turn it into flag football. I'll be like sissy.
No,
football.
that's not going to bring.
Can I say that on the air?
That's not going to bring fans out. But I mean, you think about this. I think the predictions of its demise are greatly exaggerated, because you still on Saturdays, what do you have? 80 stadiums around the country with 60,000 or more college fans. Places like Michigan and Ohio State, where they've got north of 100,000 people that show up to every game. Notre Dame, max out, just building skyboxes they just rolled out this year. And then, of course, on Sunday, you've got another 30 NFL stadiums, except for the Jaguars, that are always sold out as well. And all the money that's generated, is this all just going to go away? Boy, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so.
The Women's Football League. It's Lingerie League is now a more reputable name. WFL, okay?
As long as they didn't change the uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen.
We're the Sharks.
Stephen Hinsdale. How are you? The Jets.
Yeah, fine. High school football. John Katz is not the Pope. Everything that comes out of John Katz's mouth is not correct.
I understand.
High school football is going nowhere. It is great. And you just to talk about it is goofy. John Katz is goofy. When somebody says it's going out of style, it's horrible. And it's just incorrect. Now, I was in Ann Arbor 2 weeks ago. I'm a Michigan fan. Michigan alone. Guess how many people were at that game?
105,000.
109, and we were disappointed. Football's going nowhere. Thanks for a great day.
All right, thanks for the call, Steve.
Gosh, these Women's Football League team names are hysterical.
Like what?
Well, the Monsoons, Houston Energy, Madison Blaze, the Iowa Crush, the Nebraska Stampede, the Toledo Torpedoes.
That's good. Those are good football names.
Tennessee Trains, the Carolina Queens. Watch out, Caitlyn Jenner. You're getting close.
Nah, you could have a lot of fun with the Carolina Queens. There's no question. Tom in Oswego.
Hi, good morning, Kennedy. I had a son who played high school football and college football very, very competitively. And I noticed that a lot of the high-level competition is the parents drive transferring their competitive nature to their kids instead of just letting the kids enjoy the sport. Football is a physical sport, but I think that like anything in life, if they enjoy it, they're going to get a lot of things out of that, other than just an invitation to a D1 school, and that morale building and team and all some of the things.
No question.
That come with sports.
No question.
And I really wish the parents would back off a little bit, because I've seen this. Now my kids are grown, but wow, it's almost as if you're competing against the parents and not the students.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they should do
Tom.
first and foremost? Stop allowing parents to go to kids' practices. Leave them alone. Drop your kids off. Don't, because they're these helicopter parents, Stan, that just sit there and go to every practice and can't believe that you're not at every practice.
Yeah.
Just drop them off, go do your stuff, and come back and pick them up, or make them walk home or Uber them home.
I don't know.
Like I might do.
Well, right. Yes.
Hello.
I've coached and starting to coach again youth basketball, boys basketball, like 6th, 7th, 8th graders. Mm-hmm. And you have parents that come to practice. That doesn't bother me necessarily. I mean, it really depends on how they come to practice. Are they constructive and they just want to be there, talk to you, whatever? That's fine. If they're like destructive and interventionist, then it's a different story. But I don't know. I haven't had really bad experiences, but I've seen it. I know what you're talking about. Jim and Joliet.
Yeah, fellas, I think that they should go to death row prison football. and to get and make it at a professional level.
Yeah,
and let
longest.
the proceeds go to the prison fund, the cost of housing these people. They've got all day, all year long to train, and in a controlled environment, and they've got nothing to lose.
I love that idea when it was a Burt Reynolds movie called The Longest Yard. Thanks for the call, Jim. And then Adam Sandler ruined it with a remake.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I have your team because you love Pittsburgh so much.
Yeah.
You should start cheering for the Pittsburgh Passion. They beat Washington 41 to something. They're a really good team.
I don't care about results. I'm just interested for the love of the game. But I am going to trade my Steelers T-shirt into a Pittsburgh Passion T-shirt. There's no question about that.
Oh, nice home colors too. This is good stuff, Dan.
George.
I'm watching highlights now.
George and Will County.
WFL.
Good morning, you two. Only thing I want to know, will Bruce Jenner and RuPaul be able to create their own league and join that? And I want to know what that team name is going to be. That's all.
Thanks for the call, George. Yeah.
Confused? Switch hitters? What?
RuPaul and Caitlyn Jenner.
Ouch. Oh, handsome-looking group.
Jim and Mokina.
Hi, this is Jim from Mokina.
Yeah.
My son is a little guy, and he played football for St. Ignatius. He got knocked around quite a bit by the guys from Loyola and the other schools, but he survived. But now he's playing rugby at the University of Missouri, and rugby is an up-and-coming sport. It's more of a gentleman's sport in the sense that there's a little bit more camaraderie between the players on both teams. But it's a very rough sport, but it seems to be catching on because you can be a small guy in rugby and still be a good player. You don't have to be a huge player to sell rugby. So I think that these sports are going to maybe take their place for football or become more popular than football in the future.
Thanks, Jim.
And don't forget lacrosse.
Yeah, lacrosse is gaining in popularity too. Rich kid sport. Jeff on the north side.
Not if you can get sponsors.
Yeah, fencing.
Was just wondering how much evidence it's going to take that tackle football, causes irreparable brain damage before watching kids playing high school football is going to turn into something sad to watch instead of fun.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. I think it's going to be a while. Maybe football can be replaced by another gentleman's sport. We have ultimate fighting at the high school level.
Yeah.
That's it. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man. Oh my God! Einhorn is a man.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, breezy, a high of 62. Perfect for football viewing. Tonight, clear, a low of 50 degrees, and Thursday and Friday both look terrific. We're going to have breezy both days with plenty of sunshine, highs in the low 60s. Let's get the travel times. Is it getting any better out there? Jim Telemonte with the answer.
It is in some places, Amy. There's a problem in South Barrington. Bartlett Road closed at Higgins. There's a rollover crash, possible fuel leak, and in Northfield, a car fire has northbound Waukegan Road blocked at Winnetka Road. Inbound Aiden's 39 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, a little better, 52 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound it's 33. The Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 37 minutes. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, it's clear outbound. The Ryan is 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State, southbound slow from the Adams Tollway to Irving Park, and from LaGrange Road to the 82nd Street toll. There's a crash in the 3 left lanes. Northbound, the Gapers delay starts at Southwest Highway. Farther north, still very slow, Archer to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway most of the way to Irving Park. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Text on the Women's Football League. I like this one, 630. No WFL team named the Legion of Womb. Show me your TDs. It's not bad. So often on the show, we talk about the important issues that affect your world, like the economy, education, foreign policy. And on the show, because there's always so much going on, we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. It's one of the reasons I'm involved with a new website along with the Illinois Policy Institute called Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com. At Upstream Ideas, you'll find info that will inform the discussions we're having on this show and elsewhere. At Upstream Ideas, we broaden the parameters of debate and move beyond the same old partisan assumptions. We challenge accepted orthodoxies and debunk the faulty premises that inform the rules on which our free society is based. In other words, we're pushing against the current and thinking upstream. And speaking of against the current, today you can watch a long-form interview I did with Local Labs CEO Brian Timpone about
the Brian Timpone
about media in the 21st century. It's very interesting. He also talks about how long we'll still have a job in radio before it goes away, like newspapers. We'll ask, why are conditions the way they are at Upstream, and how can those conditions be improved? So go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com.
Dan, next week you should interview Tal Brody.
If he's available. That's a tough
Just
get.
a suggestion.
Yeah. I'll see him tomorrow at the game. With each visit to Upstream Ideas, you'll be armed with new info and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the good old USA a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
I really started it from an advertisement, more for my husband than for me, but I decided we should both take it, and I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, that's a wonderful success story.
I know.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code Chicago.
The Heartland Institute stands for freedom, and its mission is to discover, develop, and distribute free market solutions to economic and social problems. Join Heartland for their 31st annual benefit dinner on Thursday, October 8th at the Cotillion in Palatine. This year's featured speakers will be conservative author and scholar Dr. Angelo Codavia. We've had him on this show, author of Ruling Class, excellent, as well as former Reagan administration aide Don Devine. To find out more, go to heartland.org.
Now, more than ever, choosing a real estate agent to sell your home is one of the most important decisions you can make.
I'm Ed Lukasik Jr., owner of RE/MAX Professionals. I know what it takes to sell your home.
The Wall Street Journal ranked Ed at 88th in the entire country for closed listings.
I know that there's no gimmick to selling your home, just a strategic marketing plan and the confidence needed to make your transaction successful.
Chicago Agent Magazine recognized Ed as the #1 rank in Will County.
You can hire anybody to list your house, but you'll need the local market knowledge that I have to sell it.
When Ed saw market trends change, he was ready and promptly received a RE/MAX of Northern Illinois Trendsetter Award.
Sure, it takes awards, but it also takes a lot of effort. So why would you try to sell your home with a we'll sell your house or buy it from you kind of agent? If an agent has to promise to buy your listing, then something's seriously wrong.
Call Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals, 630-679-5454. That's 630-679-5454. Sell your house with the professionals, RE/MAX Professionals.
I really enjoyed test driving that car, but I don't know if I can afford it.
Well, you can qualify for a low interest and payment auto loan depending on your credit score.
I don't even know what my credit score is.
You should go to Credit Sesame. They give you your credit score for free and so much more. In fact, you can check it right now.
Yes, at Credit Sesame, we help turn your credit score into the key that unlocks the things you want, like that new car. We give you a free credit score and so much more. You get free credit monitoring and alerts, personal loan analysis and recommendations, money management tips and tools, all to save you money and help you reach your goals. Plus, identity theft protection, absolutely free, no credit card required. So do more with your score. Get started today. Visit freecreditsesame.com. That's freecredit, SESAME.com. freecreditsesame.com.
Hi, it's Dan Proft. Gentlemen, when it comes to your health, do you know your numbers? You may know your blood pressure and cholesterol, but do you know your testosterone? I do, and I'm glad I do. Low T Center makes it easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and know your results within minutes. If you're a man over 40 and have noticed a decline in energy, stamina, or libido, you may have low testosterone. Low T makes you feel tired and grumpy, can raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Low T Center's experienced medical staff will educate you on the benefits and risks of testosterone replacement. At Low T Center, it takes just minutes for results, and the services there are covered by most health insurance. They even have convenient and flexible hours. So do yourself a favor and get your levels checked. Call 630-409-4305. Again, 630-409-4305. Or go to lowtcenter.com and tell them Dan Prof sent you.
AST for Industry. This is John Haidt. My company is Anti-Seize Technology. We are the company behind hundreds of products used by industry and manufacturing worldwide. For over 35 years, my local company has made lubricants, adhesives, and sealants. I put my products up against any other company for quality and value. That's why we say AST for Industry.
Your maintenance crew can save time, money, and your equipment. Slick-On Flow Lube is a superior spray-on industrial lubrication for your sliding, rolling, squeaky, turning, press-fitting needs. Slick-On Flow Lube keeps your equipment in service and reduces costly breakdowns. Slick-On Flow Lube is a great product for your maintenance team from Anti-Seize Technology.
We will prove products from Anti-Seize Technology are better for your industry. Contact us for a demonstration. Go to AST4Industry.com. Remember, AST4Industry.com. Check out our line of lubricants, adhesives, and sealants for your company. AST4Industry.com.
Text message, Amy, something tells me you're not the first link card applicant who Ubers their kids home.
Yes, we're still waiting with bated breath for the results of your application. That'll be noteworthy.
Yes, I'll let you know when it arrives.
Please do.
Thanks, as always, for listening to us. Thanks for our morning Zoo Crew team, David Stripling, technical director extraordinaire, Cesar Perez, our executive producer.
Shake and bake.
And we want to thank you for making us a part of your morning this morning and every morning. We'll see you back here at 5 a.m. Let's go back now, though, into the newsroom and say hello again and thank you to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching today. A man sought for questioning in a Lake County killing found dead. The mayor and head of police expressed outrage over gun violence, and the governor offering tax breaks to lure ConAgra to Chicago. Bulls' Derrick Rose suffers a fractured bone in his face. We'll get an update on that surgery.